Fantastic, I'll do the calling out. So, in the top right hand corner of the map, spawning in as the orange Protoss, we have the Gem, ISL3 the Gem. And in the bottom left hand corner, spawning in as the teal Zerg, we have ISL3 Bakuryu. And I thought for a second that one of his drones wasn't mining, but I was wrong. Weird kind of angle on it. Everything is good with Bakuryu. So, once again, it seems to be the case that there's one player whom I know a lot about and one player whom I don't. Any background on Gem for us?
Gem, he's a Russian Protoss, and as far as Russian Protosses go, he's not quite as strong as Must or DeWalt or Tama, but he's still going to play that same solid Russian Protoss style, minimal mistakes, just out macro the opponent. Yeah,
I'm sure I've seen him around, but yeah, I'm not a real good kind of stats guy. So we do have Gem sending out his first probe. Interestingly, he is playing for an in-base build, so this is definitely not any kind of mistake. This is definitely planned for. He will know that Bakuryu is, of course, Zerg, so he's heading down to the bottom right-hand corner of the map, which is a good choice, actually, when you're scouting against Zerg, because, interestingly, the Zerg will always scout towards the natural, so this kind of guarantees that you will not be scouted first by him. You will definitely scout him before he scouts you, if that makes any sense.
Definitely makes sense. And getting scouting information in this situation is going to be very important for Gem as to exactly how many zealots he needs, exactly how many zealots he wants to make with this in-base style.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different follow-ups that a Protoss player can go for after with going for this kind of in-base style, and it looks like he's going to go for the tech kind of option, as he's already throwing down the assimilator without starting the second gateway. This can be really risky. You're gonna get the speed out, or you're gonna get the Dark Templars out, whatever your preference is, a bit faster than what would normally happen. But you have to assume Bakuryu is eventually going to figure it out, and he's going to be able to adjust his build order accordingly to properly deal with the faster speed lot attack or the faster DT attack.
Yeah. Well, it's always slightly edgy stuff as Protoss going for one of these builds, because you have to build a Dragoon after your first two Zealots, but that can put you a little bit of risk from kind of mass lane attacks, but you have to have it so you can clear out that Overlord, because if the Zerg knows what's happening, then you're going to really struggle to make it work, because this kind of thing is usually an all-in kind of play. Having said that, he does have good options, as you mentioned. He can go for speed, he can go for some kind of SAIR DT thing, although that's really pretty gas intensive, or he can go for a Reader Timing Burst, which wouldn't be entirely unheard of. So he does have good choice to play against Bakuryu, who has gone for the early hatchery, so that means that Gem is going to be in a pretty safe position early on, getting a second Zealot anyway. And will he be able to block the drone? Oh! Drone doesn't quite get in, that was edgy stuff, and Bakuryu letting the drone die. A little bit of an error there.
Not a mistake. He has another drone up at the top left. Is he going to send that one over? No, he's not. He's going to bring it back home, and that means that he's going to have to wait for this Overlord to make it all the way over before realizing what Gem's doing. Exactly. He did see that there's no expansion, so he knows that some kind of one-base play is happening, but he doesn't know if it's two-gate or if it's one-gate tech like it is. And specifically, he doesn't know what kind of tech behind it.
No, and it is really pretty crucial for him to be able to find this out. That's why the Overlord is heading on there just as fast as it can. Look at it floating over to the Protoss base. But it's going to still be a little while before he's quite sure what's happening. Interestingly enough, that Gem is not making a Dragoon third, he's making Dragoon fourth, which is a slightly unusual choice given that he's actually seen Bakuryu's build. He's seen the number of Zerglings. You'd have thought he'd have put out a slightly earlier Dragoon to make sure that Overlord doesn't get too much good information, but it will be able to clean out that Overlord in a timely enough fashion nonetheless. And oh, he's going to scout that second probe being sent out to have a bit of a mosey around, so that's good stuff for Bakuryu. A little bit of a break there.
Yep. Gem has thrown down the Stargate and getting the Citadel behind this, so there will be SAIRs incorporated into this build. It looks like it's going to be for a fast DT kind of build. And the Dragoon, as you said, is going to pop out in time, going to deny scouting. Bakuryu is not going to see the tech all the way up in this corner. He's just going to see one gateway.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I'm looking at the Overlord's vision, and that is indeed all he sees. He sees a gateway, a few pylons, Nexus, so he's got really pretty much little or no information at all on what's happening. So this could be a little bit iffy for him. Looking at his position, his Overlords are just chilling at the front of the natural, which is of course a good placement. But we'll see how much that first Corsair can do to scare them away. He'd probably do well to try and sneak a couple of Lings around the Zealots. Now, it might be exactly what he does. Oh, one Link does manage to get out and he's going to get up the ramp, so he is going to get a full scout of the Gems build. Maybe a little bit later than he would have wanted, but that is critical nonetheless, because otherwise he would have just been completely in the dark, and Gem is lit up like a Christmas tree right now. Bakuryu no longer in the dark as to what's going on. Which is lucky for him.
Indeed, seeing that Templar Archives was really crucial, and now Bakuryu still doesn't know exactly what the Gem's doing. When you see a Stargate in a Templar Archives, your immediate thought is Templars, but at the same time, Bakuryu has to notice that the Stargate's not flashing. There was not a Corsair out for Degen.
It's already at the natural.
That's already at the
Bakuryu's natural.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the Corsair will be clearing out the some of these Overlords, and possibly making a path to the DT. Bakuryu's Hydralisk Den is finished. He needs to get out some Hydralisks to prevent losing too many of these Overlords here, but I don't think that Degem's going to be able to get out a good enough number of Corsairs to really ignore 1 or 2 Hydralisks defending these Overlords. It's going to be hard for the DT. Bakuryu...
Yeah, absolutely.
Bakuryu's style, it looks like he's going for his own unique 4-hatch Hydralisk build. Just did not get that Expo because he realized he wouldn't be able to defend it. But here comes the attack. This is going to be a pretty strong attack. 5 Zealots and a Dragoon, but the Dragoon's not being micro, so the Zerglings are going to, are going to be taken out. That's a mistake from Degen. The Dragoon isn't horribly valuable, but just the slightest bit of micro would have been able to save it. And now the Hydralisks are focusing on the Corsair, trying to stay alive. Yes, the Hydralisks will manage to take out that Corsair before it takes out any more Overlords. That's really good. He needs to keep these Overlords alive in case for when the DT comes, but now the Zealots are going to do some harass on the probes, and there's still a good number of Zealots here that can do damage. Most of the probes have gone down before the Zerglings are finally able to clean up. And what does the there's the Dark Templar. It's now coming across the bridge now, and the Zerglings are all running away.
Oh, no.
I don't think Bakuryu noticed.
No, he definitely didn't notice. He saw nothing of that Dark Templar. It's now making its way in. Will it get into the main? He's doing his best to block the ramp because that's where he knows his Overlord vision is. Will he manage to block? No. Nice bit of drone drilling in the last second, but he does not manage to. He should be hatching an Overlord right in his main. Now, no, he's not. He's hatching a Mutalisk. That is the last thing he wants to be making right now. He's making just like a handful of Mutalisks, and this is really, really bad for Bakuryu. Mining completely shut down at his main, and that DT very sensibly starts hacking away at the eggs, fearing an Overlord popping any second now. What will we see? We do already have the natural up for the Gem, and a bunch of Zerglings running in, but to no avail. Already 3 photon cannons up and waiting for him, and this is a terrible situation for Bakuryu. That Dark Templar is going to make mincemeat of a few things before the Muses are finally able to clear it out. They do get there now, though, to safeguard that main base at long last.
Bakuryu was so close there to being able to block the ramp and kill off the Dark Templar, but that was a good presence of mind from Degen to realize he just needed to kill a single drone, and he'd be able to run the Dark Templar into the main. And as you can see, it's clearly have done a lot of damage. Aw, cute move from Bakuryu trying to block it off, but Degem's gonna just kill one, releasing the Dark Templar from its Zergling prison. But the Overlord's slowly trying to find it, but no. Dark Templar finally taken out, but the damage has certainly been done. Oh, a second Dark Templar, and it's racking up a good number of drone kills. Bakuryu does notice, he starts to pull away, but there's still too many there. He's going to lose a couple more, already up to 9 drone kills. Oh, such a big bow to block Bakuryu, especially considering Bakuryu's only on 2 bases at this point in the game.
Another DT on the way in as well might do a little bit more damage if it can get in on that natural mineral line, while Bakuryu isn't really paying good attention. There are a few Zerglings now to cover that up, and Bakuryu does notice it nice and quickly, so that's alright. As the Muses head on over to the main base of Gem, already with 2 photon cannons up, no more Corsairs being produced, which is slightly interesting, but he does have an Archon, so he should be able to ward off those Muses without any trouble whatsoever. One more DT, just knocking around at the Zergs, 3rd mineral only, and yes, that Archon is doing its job nicely. And those Muses are forced to run away. I think Bakuryu is looking a little bit indecisive here. He's kind of going a little bit Muses, a little bit Hydras. He hasn't really picked a path, and as such, he hasn't got much of anything. What do you think his plan is here?
This is just Bakuryu doing his normal build. He normally builds some Hydralisks and then transitioned into Mutalisks and then back to Hydralisks. But that strategy works out a lot better when you're on 3 bases as opposed to 2. So all of this just looks rather fragmented. Rather than
Queen's Nest.
Yeah, on the Queen's Nest.
Queen's Nest.
Bakuryu with the famous 50 supply hive.
Oh dear.
So many games you see Bakuryu getting that 50 supply hive, and it looks really awesome when it works, but it looks really silly when it doesn't.
Yeah, when it fails, it looks really super lame because it looks like just kind of what were you thinking with that build? I mean, of course it can happen, but when it goes badly, it just goes very, very badly indeed. And he's got really not much of an economy behind him at all. He's got a handful of drones at each base, rehatching some now, but quite a lot of damage was done earlier on by that little bit of process harassment. Probe heading up to the top left-hand corner will be caught by that zergling there, so no more scouting information for JeuXx right now. Of course, Bakuryu's one advantage in doing this build is it is right now absolutely secret, and JeuXx has pretty much no way of scouting all those overlords. Got to spot that DT on its way in. Yes, they do in fact. And JeuXx does already have a robe up, so he should be able to mount some pressure fairly soon, but no observatory up just yet. Macro slipping just a little bit here. Curious to see how he reacts to this play. He should really have another Corsair out.
Macro's actually really slipping. He has 6 gateways up now, finally queues them up, but he missed an entire round of production there, just not building anything.
Yeah.
So
a little bit funny. I'm not quite sure where he was looking.
Anyway, he's gonna make a complete round of dragoons, and Bakuryu's gonna be in a really hard spot. He kind of needs to drone because he doesn't have the he needed a drone there because he didn't have a good economy, and now he has a pretty okay, even though considering it's only on 2 bases. But at the same time, because he was droning up so hard, he's gonna have a really hard time holding off this 3 Archon multiple goon attack, especially at the base with no Sim City that he's trying to set up over top left.
Yeah.
It's really, there is no correct answer as to what Bakuryu should be doing here. Hopefully he's going to be able to get up to some hive units and make some magic happen with some amazing swarms or some amazing plagues, but he really needs something amazing to happen at this point. There's...
Yeah. I'm a little bit confused. I guess what JeuXx was going for, which has actually worked out pretty well if this was indeed his thinking, is that he's against a pretty good player in the form of Bakuryu, so don't let Bakuryu go out with whatever game plan he was kind of considering, because he would be planning for working against an FE build, which of course JeuXx has not done, so that might have been the idea all along, just to confuse Bakuryu and force him into a corner he didn't really want to be in. And this top left base is looking a little bit exposed now. I don't know how Bakuryu is going to be able to defend this. We do have an observer with the Protoss army, 2 zealots running in now, going to get a full scout on that. So that's probably going to get shut down pretty badly, and once again it's going to be bad for Bakuryu. He's going to lose the 300 minerals he's got invested in that hatchery. He's going to lose a whole bunch of drones as well, not to mention the lurkers. But he's going to try and do something to do this, but JeuXx, with another Dark Templar, able to fully scout those lurkers moving out as well. The army moves in, and I expect that to thoroughly clean up this Zerg top left-hand corner. He's really got nothing to deal with that.
Yep, Bakuryu preemptively pulled the drones, so if that's anything, he will be able to save those as they manage to get home, but really, he's been on 2 base for so long. Protoss has a 3rd base, and it's a really safe 3rd base because 3 cannons is really more than Bakuryu can deal with at this point in the game. And
yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, he does have the Defiler mount. Consume's almost done. No Defiler's quite out on the field yet, but he does have an okay reservoir of gas, so he should be able to get out 2 of them for when JeuXx decides to attack. But at this point, JeuXx doesn't even really need to attack.
No.
This is just going to be such a hard position for Bakuryu. Now less than half the supply of JeuXx, and JeuXx's just going to move across the bridge, ignoring the lurker fire, but there's so few lurkers that Bakuryu really doesn't even get an advantage from trying to defend the double bridge, and now he's going to catch these lurkers morphing. GG from Bakuryu. Very quick game, big upset in game number 1 of today's cast.
Yeah, that was one of the more toothless games I've seen coming out of a ZVP for quite some time. He looked no initiative. He really had no foothold in the game whatsoever.
Alright. So, jumping back here, we will be casting the second game of this, Dragon versus JeuXx.
I'm not quite sure what to call him. I've been calling him Je because it looks kind of French. JeuXx. I don't know.
Alright.
Just have fun with it.
We'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. Aha. Kid Canada in the chat. Confirming that it is indeed the French pronunciation.
He has not said that in my chat. My chat is significantly behind yours. Awesome.
Your chat's a disaster, man.
Oh, there we go. Now you just said it. Cool. Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Might see another upset after that really quite peculiar Bakuryu game, but let's see how it goes. Bring on the game.
Bring on the game, indeed.
Okay, so we're in the next game. Spawning into the top left-hand corner as the blue Zerg, we have ISL3 Dragon. And in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning in as the grey Protoss, we have ISL3 JeuXx. I'm going to kind of stick with that kind of French pronunciation for now.
Yeah.
The map is, of course, the magnificent Circuit Breaker. Pretty cool all-around map. And if anyone wants more information on these players and generally what's going on in the groups, brackets, etc., you can go over to altitudeisl.net and keep fully up to date with all the stats of the tournament. Just make sure you don't spoil it for yourselves because the cast is happening right here. But yeah, if you're unsure on what's happening anytime, altitudeisl.net is the place to be.
So, Dragon versus JeuXx. Dragon would be the other favorite to come out of this group, other than Bakuryu, who slipped up in his first game. But
yeah.
Dragon, known as being, along with Kid Canada, the best Protoss player in Canada at the moment. Although recently in his Gambit Cup matches, which is the only thing he's been terribly active in, he hasn't been posting up really good results. He's been in a little bit of a slump lately. So we'll have to see if he can turn it around. Dragon is a race picker, so if you've seen him play Protoss, that is the matchup he plays most of the time. But he does not like the mirror, so plays Zerg versus Protoss instead.
Yeah. I've never understood that why you wouldn't like PvP. I think it's great fun. Maybe that's because it's my best matchup, but I personally really enjoy it. I find it really pretty interesting. Spawning pool already going down for Dragon, not going for the 12 hatch option this time. And at the other side of things, we do have something much more standard happening in this game. We have the Forge being thrown down, not even doing anything crazy like Gateway First, it's just straight up fast expand. Once again seeing that cool scouting pattern, which means that the probe ends up in the Zerg's main much before the Overlord ever makes it to the natural. So a little bit of a slight advantage in the early game there for Protoss. And everything proceeding absolutely as planned. Only thing left to see is whether he'll try and go Nexus before cannons, but I imagine he wouldn't do that since the spawning pool is already on the way up, doing a little bit of fun and games at the Zerg natural with his probe, blocking that hatch as long as possible.
Interesting. Excuse me. Interesting. Dragon actually delayed his Zerglings coming out. I don't know if the mining was a little bit off and he just didn't have money for them immediately, but he did not make a fresh batch of lings as soon as the spawning pool finished, which is a little bit odd.
Yeah, that is...
Especially with an
overpool. A little bit off. Yeah, did he just not have the minerals for it?
I'm guessing he didn't. He didn't seem to
odd.
have a huge mank after he finally did build them, but...
Anyway.
Anyway.
That's very strange. The only thing I could possibly think was that he was planning to lay down the hatchery and then he got blocked, but that doesn't seem very likely.
Not with the pool that early.
No.
I think it's just a little bit of lapse. Anyway.
Most likely.
Dragon has expanded over to the right side, just expanded clear on the other side of the map, and will now set down the natural. So just out of ordering that really doesn't change up much of his build at all. And this probe is being quite annoying, Dragon having a hard time surrounding it, but his wall going to be completely tight. He is making the ideal wall for this map, and should be completely safe in getting up his expansion. No real threat of Zergling run by in this game, at least not yet.
Yeah, and he will know that that probe's doing a very good job. I mean, this first probe needs to stay alive as long as possible, really, because especially once this first one goes down, it can be very hard to get another one even out of your base, let alone into the Zerg base. So it needs to get as much information as possible. Looks like it will be captured very soon by these Zerglings. How long can it escape for? Probably not too much longer. It might just get to that top right hand base first and get a little bit of that all-important scouting information, but no, it looks like the Zergling's going to be able to shut it down, and he does not see that. He'll probably imagine that it's there anyway. All the while, we do have a lair already going down for Dragon, so that's all pretty normal, just as the side core is getting ready to come up for JeuXx at the other side of the map. So once again, proceeding as normal into the mid-game, we have a second assimilator being thrown down at the Protoss natural as well, which confirms that he is not going to go for any kind of big speed loss attack. It's going to be something along the lines of Corsair play, as we would expect.
As we wouldn't expect indeed. For the two groups we're casting today, a kind of interesting unintentional storyline is that we have, with Kid Canada excluded, we have Germany's 2 best players in Kolll and Bakuryu versus Canada's 2 best players in Dragon and Bizzy, other than Kid Canada. So interesting that those 2 nations' representatives are going to be on display today. We already saw Bakuryu play his game, and now it is Dragon's turn. JeuXx, he's still doing a good job with his probes. He did lose that first. Never mind. I'd say that immediately dies.
Yeah.
Commentator's curse. But
yeah. Oh, tell me about it.
Dragon has got up his Spire, so we'll be getting out a couple of Scourge. Dragon isn't typically a player who goes for Mutalisks, so I wouldn't really expect that. I'd expect to see the more standard Hydralisks and Lurker type of play.
Yeah, that would make good sense. Lurking contains can actually be a little bit of a problem on this map as well. It can be really pretty tough to get anywhere. Zerg can set up a nice concave either in front of the bridges or behind the bridges and just make life a little bit difficult, but that's the bridge that we'll cross when we come to it. At the moment we have a Spire going up, probably not going to be for Mutas still, probably just going to be for Hydralisk given that we don't have any gas at the 3rd or the natural for the Zerg. And in the meantime we have the first Corsair well on the way for JeuXx. I swear I'm tripping out. I thought I just saw a scan go down the Protoss base and I was like, no, it's impossible. Don't give Zerg a scan, don't do it. But I must just be going a little bit crazy there.
I think Dragon made a little bit of a mistake here, having 2 Overlords within vision of each other, and the Corsair's just going to be able to pick them off easily.
Yeah.
And not only is it a mistake having them that close together, but he should have at least had them run away in different directions. If he had the one that died first go towards the middle of the map, the second one might not have been seen. But it's gonna cost him 2 Overlords, and it's gonna really supply block him because he was supply blocked as soon as the first one died, and then still supply blocked even now. Building a couple buildings, so he's not supply blocked anymore, but still a bit of a mistake.
A minor disaster. Fortunately, he already has Scourge out, so those Corsairs can't continue to make their way into his natural. The Scourge are going to get a good scout on the Protoss stuff. They should be able to sneak past the back of the mineral line. Is he going to try that? I don't know if he will. He should probably be able to assume what's going on at the moment in JeuXx base anyway. Because if he's going to assume anything, he's going to assume this entirely standard stuff. But those Scourge are going to make their way in, and he's going to see everything. He's going to see the second gateway on the way up. And the Templar Archives, actually managed to catch a Corsair. A little bit surprisingly there. Slightly careless from our Protoss player, but he is pushing out at the moment with 5 Zealots. That could do a good little bit of damage. Managing to catch some hits on those Zerglings on the way past as well. But it looks like Dragon is fairly well prepared for this with 2 Sunken Colonies down already, so shouldn't be doing too much damage.
Yep, speed is going to finish just as the attack comes, but as you said, that's a rather nice SimCity, and 2 Sunken Colonies is going to be enough to really stop anything. You can head over to the other side, where the SimCity doesn't look quite as nice, but it's still going to be overall a successful SimCity, and I don't think that 5 speed lots are going to be doing too much damage in this game.
Yeah, I mean that SimCity is still good. It's not quite as incredibly tight as the one at the Zerg's natural, but it's still pretty good. And as we can see, those Zealots taking their opportunity to run away just as quickly as possible, possibly picking up a couple of Hydralisks. Slight mistake there from Dragon, but I'm sure he'll control his way back into it. But definitely not feeling brave enough to have a crack in there, and it's a good thing too. We do have the Zerg's 4th base already up, so he's going to be able to defend that pretty handily with just 2 Sunkens and a handful of Hydralisks. So that's a relatively early 4th. And a bunch of Speedlings coming down here into the Protoss's mineral-only 3rd just to check that nothing funny is happening. All the while we have a few Corsairs moving out, but this might not be the best idea. I don't know if he's got the critical mass yet to be able to handle these Scourge, and the Scourge are going to go in, might do some big hits. Just managing to lose only 1 Corsair, but nonetheless the Protoss decide to pull them back across the map anyway, after a little bit of a dead engagement.
Yeah, I don't think he was quite expecting to see that Scourge clump there. He might... +1 did finish, so he probably would have been able to hold them off if he had consolidated them, but a little bit of micro mistake is going to cost him a Corsair.
It should be relatively easy for him to consolidate them because he has gone to the effort of trapping a probe behind his mineral line so he can stack those Corsairs up quite nicely. 2 probes. Yeah, he's gone crazy. I think that second one was probably a mistake. Oh well, it's not hugely valuable at this point. 50 minerals, here or there. Not too much of a big deal.
Well, I'm not particularly a fan of going for a 4-base turtling style on circuit breakers. I think that 4 base Turtle Zerg can be strong on any 3 or 4 player map. Zealots go in, are going to get a surround on these Hydralisks. Dragon not microing at all, and it's going to cost him all those Hydralisks. And without the Hydralisks behind the wall, actually Zealots might be able to do some damage here. That's a pretty big mistake from Dragon. Now the Hydra's trying to move back, but they're not going to be able to get back up behind the wall sufficiently in time. And now these Zealots, they're going to take out all the Hydralisks, and they can focus on drones or go for the Sunkens. Looks like some are doing both. Dragon did do a good job of reducing surface area, so only a couple of Zealots can attack at a time. And wow, he's just barely going to be able to hold this off. He does lose both of them. He does lose both of the Sunken colonies.
That was quite a serious error from Dragon, though. Given my privileged position of not having to look at where the action is, I could see that he was instead focusing his attention on the Corsairs down at the bottom left-hand corner of the map, trying to pick a few of them off with some Hydralisks. He was unable to do that, and all the while he was being backstabbed by that chunky number of Zealots. It leveled out fairly well since all the Zealots went down, but still a nice bit of pressure from JeuXx just to kind of shake Dragon up a little bit. But nonetheless, Dragon does have a big Hydralisk forcing coming now, and JeuXx is going to have to be very careful. He must not push out at all now. He does have some good Storm in those High Templars, 1 apiece, and relatively soon they should have another one to their names. Those Hydras probably not going to be able to push in quite yet, but JeuXx has to be very, very sparing with his defensive Storms here.
Yeah, he does indeed. He should be able to hold this off, assuming that he gets the Storms correctly. There are a lot of Zealots there, which won't be able to attack the Hydralisks most likely, but that's a lot of damage that can be absorbed that's not being placed on the cannons. Is one of the... Nope. One of the Templar threatening to move out. And here comes a couple new ones. At this rate, it looks like they will manage to get Storm before. But going back to JeuXx's last attack, this attack from Dragon, if he is going to attack and not just to contain, would be so much stronger if he had that extra near-control group of Hydralisks that definitely did not need to die against those Zealots. That was certainly a winnable engagement if he had just pulled them back and not allowed them to be surrounded.
Yeah, definitely.
JeuXx still with a big Corsair fleet coming around to harass more Overlords. Going to be a little bit more difficult now that Overlord speed is finished, but still completely possible. Spore Colony finishes, though, is going to cost him 1.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get difficult for Protoss, when those Spore Colonies come in, and if the Zerg then starts making lurkers, it gets tricky, because you have to do so much interesting micro and so much messing around in order to try and get any kind of a good bust on any of their bases. It doesn't look like we have the lurker upgrade going on unless he's already got it, but I don't think he has. I don't see a single lurker out yet. Queen's Nest is already up, so the Hive is on the way as well for Dragon. And this is the point at which Joe really needs to make a move, and he does exactly that, pushing out from his natural, landing a nice Storm on those Hydralisks, and it looks like the Force of Dragon is going to be forced to pull back. Another nice Storm, taking out a lot of Hydralisks, and still with 1 observer left, he should be able to make his way across on that fairly well now, with a pretty sizable force.
Yeah, a little bit of curious decision making from Dragon. He had 2 options. He could either go for the contain there, or he could play it very defensively and hold back in his base. Yeah. Either of those options would have been made so much stronger if he had lurkers.
Templar Snipe, the Hydralisks are coming up behind the Templar. Oh, just in time. JeuXx manages to turn himself around and landing a couple of nice Storms, microing this very, very well. I was very afraid that those Templar would get caught at the back, but doing a good job keeping his eye on that, and the last few Hydralisks are going to be caught, managing to bring a couple of Dragoons down with them, but nonetheless, that is the larger part of Dragon's force down and out, just managing to hatch some lurkers in time and burrowing them down behind his bridge. He should be safe for the time being.
It's really going to put JeuXx at ease to a large extent to not have that huge army that he already knew about threatening to get a surround whenever he moved in. Now with the taken out, it's going to be a lot easier for him to push across the bridge. Still not terribly easy, though. It's very nice spread on the lurkers. It's going to be hard to storm, and JeuXx is continuing to go for it, but I think that Dragon can win the war of attrition here. A lot more lurkers pop. Are they going to be able to get down? A good storm goes off, hits a bunch of them, and they're trying to retreat back behind the wall, and he will very slowly push across. It's costing him a lot to do it, but it might be worth it in the end. He still has his whole group of Dragoons. There was not that backstab of Lings to take them out undefended by Zealots. Here it comes just a little bit late. And now they're going to have to be the ones that cross the double bridge. How many Storms are left?
There are quite there's 0 Storms left. There are a couple of High Templar which have me fooled, but it does look like Dragon's going to try and regain the control of this area outside his natural. He pushes in with some Zealots, with some Hydralisks rather, and a lurker or 2. Will it be enough? There are still some Zealots in there, but it looks like he might just be able to clean this up. Reinforcing Zealots coming in now. The Protoss still has a decent force. Will he be able to micro it correctly? It looks like he might just be a little bit too outnumbered, trying to pull his Dragoons back. and he might actually have some force left at the end of this, and Dragon is actually in a lot of trouble right now, and Zheu might try and continue to push all the way into the natural here with some more Zerglings coming in at the back. He needs to be a bit careful so his force doesn't get entirely mopped up. Should probably land a nice storm on that bridge right now to take out some Zerglings. Why isn't he landing a storm? Oh no! Absolutely dreadful storm all over his own units. That was the last thing he wanted. And yeah, that's some pretty painful stuff for Zheu, and he's finally forced to move back after a very, very well fought engagement, however, almost dealing a hell of a lot of damage to Dragon right now.
And that tends to be how Protoss engagements go when you're not going, when they don't quite work out. Everything's looking good at the beginning, you're pushing the Zerg back, you're doing a lot of damage, but then all of a sudden you realize your Archons haven't quite warped in yet, you've run out of Storm, and all your Zealots have died to Lurkers. And the Zerg can just throw wave after wave of Speedlings so you finally die. Crack hadn't quite finished for that battle, but it's done now.
I think that was kind of symptomatic of Zheu wanting to kind of close the game out before it got to this big hive type thing. His third base was a little bit late. Dragon unable to deny that mineral only, but even so, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But yeah, it just looked like Zheu really wants to finish it with one big hit before all this scary stuff like Defilers and possibly even Ultras in the later game really come into play. But unsuccessful at that, and Dragon's economy is still in a nice shape going into the late game.
Yeah, JeuXx really wasn't able to capitalize terribly well on Dragon going, for a 4-base style. Normally when a Zerg player goes for 4-base style, it means that you're going to be able to take your expansions faster than you normally would. But JeuXx only now getting up his third gas, his mineral only finished just a little while ago. So Dragon's still going to have a pretty good economy relative to JeuXx for a while, but he does need to figure out a way to expand relatively soon. And on Circuit Breaker, it can be kind of difficult just because of how open this map is to find the good next expansion for Zerg after the first 4. Yeah,
but we can see that Dragon tries to do the best to use his gas advantage. I mean, yeah, it can be very difficult to grab another one, but for the meanwhile, he's trying to facilitate that by going Ultras and Defilers at the same time. So this can be a very scary combo. A nice number of Cracklings coming into that attempted base for Zheu, cancelling out one of those cannons. The Nexus might just be able to get up. Those Cracklings are, of course, super effective against it. Will it be able to get up? It looks like he might just clean it out. And it's not so damaged that it'll be able to be easily picked off by the Zerg force. So a nice little bit of defense going on from him there. He'd probably do well to sim City up at that right-hand ramp and get plenty of cannons, or maybe even a Robo making some Reavers outside there. DT now heading out. Should probably go at that top base, but there is an Overlord hanging around, ready and waiting for this kind of thing. A bunch more Speedlings coming in now, and it looks like he's moving his force away. He shouldn't be moving his force away, but he will be moving it back to defend any second now, I'm sure. So that base should get up just fine in the meantime.
The Cracklings are going to target fire the Nexus. A good storm goes down, kills most of them, but the Nexus losing health very quickly. Not quite going down, but just barely over 200 health now. Very snipeable, and JeuXx is going to have to be really mindful of that as the next wave of Cracklings come in. I think the Dragon's just going to be able to throw Zerglings at the face of the Nexus until it eventually crumbles. Here he goes again. Only one cannon warped in. There is a Templar with a storm, but I don't think that's going to be... Oh, it is going to be enough. Oh, they targeted the cannon instead of the Nexus. They did 200 damage to the cannon. So they probably would have been able to kill the Nexus, but no. Very lucky there.
That was pretty blistering storm right there from that hero High Templar. We do have a shuttle with a couple of Reavers in with this main force, so that makes this main force just that little bit more effective. But it's been some time since Dragon made anything that wasn't kind of Defiler and Ultralisk oriented, so he's going to have a pretty scary army, laying down a nice Dark Swarm, and Zheu getting himself a little bit caught here. This probably isn't a very good position for him to be engaging in, and those Lurkers uprooting are going to be able to position themselves on the Swarm. We need a lot of Storm to go down here in order to make this engagement a success for Zheu, and he's doing exactly that, but where are his observers? He needs to pull them up so that those Reavers can get nice shots off on the Lurkers. Does look like he's going to be able to come up on top in this engagement, but how long can he hold on now? Because this Zerg is just going to be streaming more stuff at him. Those Reavers are going to be instrumental if he's going to get anything good out of this engagement.
Yep, Reavers are quite effective at really any point in the game for Protoss. It's just a matter of can you micro them effectively at this late stage, doing an okay job of it. And that would have been a crushing blow against JeuXx if Dragon had a little bit more diverse of an army. But he had used all of his Cracklings, throwing them at the Nexus, didn't quite pick it off, and in that engagement, some Cracklings really would have helped him out. Now it's going to be essentially a trade as JeuXx starts to back off.
Yeah, this would have been nonetheless more effective if JeuXx didn't have a fourth base. I think that's really pretty important because, of course, if he didn't have a fourth, he'd hardly be able to replenish this army at all. As it is, he's got a little bit of a bank of minerals, but right now we do have a nice Dark Swarm being laid down on the Nexus, and the Nexus does go down. So just as I say, that Commentator's Curse, that fourth Nexus does get demolished, so that's going to make life a little bit difficult for our Process player here. I think he's going to try and continue pushing, probably not the best idea. It seems we've had some Overlord damage going down. He seems to be a little bit supply blocked here, poor Dragon. But either way, got plenty of cracklings coming in, should be able to clean up this Process army if he micros it correctly. Nice play though from JeuXx, managing to hold his own relatively well against his Ultralisk. But these Lurkers coming in should be able to take care of these last few Dragoons, and he should probably take the Reavers home to save what he can out of this.
He just barely saves one of them, the other one does go down, and JeuXx is running out of army, the type of army that's really going to be good against those cracklings. So Dragon is going to slowly but surely whittle this down. Now more cracklings coming in from the behind, taking out some of the last Dragoons, only 2 left. Targeting the Reaver. The Reaver's almost dead. It's got plagued, and it's now just about out of shield, so he needs to be very careful about how he uses it. But it looks like now he's retreating for good, as there is an Ultralisk in hot pursuit. Yeah,
one High Templar with one Storm in it going down, unfortunately. That Defiler is still just relaxing at the fourth base of the Process, not really doing anything right now, but yeah, Dragon's in a great position now. He's on 138 supply versus the 116 supply of Process, so that's really a very, very rough position for a Process player to be in. And the supply tells a good story. The economy for Dragon is absolutely booming. He's well saturated at all his bases apart from the 12 o'clock base, which I expect him to saturate up pretty quickly. Launching another assault on the bottom middle base as well. Let's see if JeuXx will be able to hold this effectively.
Looks like he is. Dragon didn't. His lings weren't attacking quite at the beginning. They were trying to move through, so losing a lot of lings there. Doesn't even need to cast a swarm, and JeuXx is going to be able to kick care of that pretty easily. Dragon's a little bit late with his +3 armor, so these Zealots have had a good advantage over the Zerglings for quite a while now, and they will continue until +3 finishes. I would like to click on the Evolution Chamber to see how close that is. But I can't quite find the one that's upgrading it, if there is one.
I can see an Evolution Chamber at the top right-hand corner doing a melee weapons upgrade.
Yeah, it's melee weapons, but not armor, which is...
I can't see armor anywhere.
Huh.
I've been watching that Evolution Chamber quite carefully. In the meanwhile, however, we have a big army coming into the Process's third. Process has an abundance of Storm and laying that down all over the Ultralisk. Of course, Ultralisk are tough as houses, taking relatively little damage from the Storm, but it looks like JeuXx might be able to clean this up. Oh no, the Dark Swarm going down at the critical moment, rendering those cannons completely ineffective. More Storm happening on the Ultralisk. He is taking out, takes out 2 observers with 1 Storm as well. And honestly, JeuXx is living on borrowed time right now. The Zerg is on so many bases. 1DT going in and doing a nice little bit of harass at the 12 o'clock base, but Dragon is quick to spot it and manages to take it out before too much damage is done. And that Ultra is still not going to go down. Ultra is, of course, pretty good against Zealots. And Dragon pretty much has free reign over the entire map now. JeuXx confined to his little corner of things on 4 bases. It's kind of decent, but he's got no control, he's got no supply, and GG from our Protoss player.
Interesting. As you were saying, JeuXx was in a bit of a hard spot, but typically Protoss players will wait a little bit longer until Zerg can quite deliver the crushing blow. But yeah, Dragon,
I think it made sense.
Dragon was just going to continue to throw Ultralisks, throw Defilers, throw Zerglings at JeuXx's bases, which were going to be pretty hard to defend.
Yeah, pretty much impossible in the long run. There was no real way back into it for him, apart from magic.
Apart from magic.
Magic's good.
My entire game plan revolves around magic. Dang it. I didn't click
Go to magic.
Alright, so as you can see in the very pretty splash, we will be going into the winner's match, which will be Gem versus Dragon. Once again a PvZ, as Dragon will race to Zerg. And then after that, Bakuryu versus JeuXx in the losers.
Yeah. And it looks like I'm not downloading the map, so I'll rejoin. Oh no, I am.
You are.
Okay. Seemed to be set for a second there.
Alright. Are you ready?
We're good. I am ready.
Then let's go.
Zero. Okay, awesome. I'm going to do the calling out once again, as I always do. In the bottom right-hand corner, spawning in is the purple Zerg, this time in the beautiful purple colours. We have ISL3 Dragon, and at the top of the map, spawning in as the green Protoss, we have our previous winner against Bakuryu. It's ISL3 the Gem. This, of course, being the winners match. We're going to see these guys face off against each other, and this is going to be interesting because now we get to see what Gem's PvZ is really like. We saw a pretty tame match coming out for Bakuryu there, which I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed about. But this is going to be a real challenge. Dragon looking pretty convincing in the last game. At no point did he look in any real danger of losing. Sort of hanging on a little bit tenuously from that big push, but he wasn't on his last legs by any means.
Yeah, Dragon. There were some control issues with Dragon's play, but the overall game plan was solid. He knew what he was doing. He got to those cracklings and knew if he just kept throwing them at his opponent, he would eventually wear him down. I hope that we see Dragon with a little bit better micro this time around, though, because Dragon's definitely capable of not letting those Hydrals get surrounded, not throwing away all the lings to one storm like that. And just a couple of those small things will make such big differences, where what took him 20 minutes last time could only take him 15.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. We do have the probe, excuse me, sorry about that, heading into the bottom right-hand base now, where he is going to get a full scout on the Zerg. He's going to see that spawning pool up relatively early. Laying down a forge as well. This is the correct positioning for the forge. Who was it who did that really peculiar wall in last week? I think it was on this exact same position.
It was Snitzel?
No. I don't think so. It was incredibly weird. This is the correct way to do it, because as you can see, that forge completely blocks that little map doodad right there, and you can lay down the gateway on the right hand side, and there's going to be just one zealot / Zergling space in the middle of the two, so that's pretty much the ideal walling for this position. We do have the probe almost out for the count, heading back into the Zerg lane just to see what's happening. We have no Zerglings being produced, it's just going straight to a hatchery and then producing up 2 Zerglings, so that's quite interesting. I guess that's all that's necessary, really. He has seen that there is a forge already down. Very sensibly, we see the first cannon cancelled for the Gem, so a nice little bit of play to get his economy kind of back toe-to-toe with the Zergs there.
Once again, we're going to see Dragon only build 2 Lings initially, and then build his second 2 sets afterwards. Now, this time around, it was because he didn't have larva for it to make 6 Lings initially. So Dragon's using a little bit of a peculiar build that gets out a couple extra drones faster. Means that his Lings are out later. I guess he really wasn't expecting to get a run-by off.
No, and that makes sense. Although, having said that, this could be a little bit edgy. He might get a kind of 2 Zergling run-by. Gem doing a nice job bringing out some probes to make sure that's blocking, but that's very, very edgy stuff. I guess that's the way it needs to be when you're trying to get level with the Zerg after he's gone for a big kind of economy opening. But even so, little bit more uncomfortable than you would probably have liked, having to pull quite a few probes there and lose a fair amount of mining time. We do see a little bit of a run by anyway. Dragon trying to get into the main. The second cannon might just come up in time. He might actually need to cancel that cannon now, but it is going to come in useful. After all, only 1 Zerg getting in, and it's already pretty damaged, so that shouldn't be too much of a worry to the Gem. His scouting probe, interestingly enough, still surviving. We have a bit of a hidden expansion, however, from the Zerg on the left-hand side. I wouldn't really say hidden, but it's a little bit kind of out of the way for that probe to go and scout.
Yep. Well, if Dragon goes for the same kind of build he did last time, this map is going to be so much better for it. Just the positioning of the bases makes it easier to defend. And 3-player maps just in general are better for that Zerg turtling style, because if your Protoss opponent doesn't throw away their entire army in an attack, and they manage to keep a lot of map presence, you're still going to, just by virtue of the placement of your bases, going to prevent them from expanding all across the map, which is really the weakness of going for a turtling style. So I would really like I really like Dragon style for this map.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very good choice, and of course, as always, expanding there to that natural will allow him to take an easy 4th base, which is a luxury that every Zerg would want. That scouting probe is still doing a great job of meandering around in the Zerg main, drilling through the mineral lines, keeping those Zerglings nice and confused. He does see the lair almost finished now at standard timing, pretty much in line with the Cybernetics core. That Zergling still surviving the Protoss main though, actually taking out a probe. Very, very cheeky stuff from that Zergling. We do have one Zealot heading over to the Zerg main, and that's actually a pretty good choice. We have only 2 Zerglings for the Zerg up right now in the main, so that Zealot could definitely pay for himself here in drones.
Interesting. We'll have to see what he goes for. There is a hole in the mineral line, which tends to be where the Zealot would like to retreat to once the Zerglings come out. But as you said, there are only 2 Zerglings. He really doesn't even need to retreat if he just turned around to attack them. But right now, he's not even doing that. He's just going to try to target down some drones. And has managed to get 2. I think he could have been able to get a couple more kills there if he had just targeted the Zerglings first. But 2 drone kills still overall a net success.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good use for one of his early Zealots. Sending another one as well, which is could actually be pretty good because, oh no wait, there's a good number of Zerglings in there. Okay, that Zealot's going to do pretty much nothing. He's going to head on in anyway, might get a little bit of a scout off. He's going to see nothing out of the ordinary, he's going to see a lair, and that's pretty much the whole thing. We have another hatchery going down at the 3rd base for Zerg. No Spire as we, oh no, Caster's Curse, there we go, we do have a Spire going down, just as I say that. A little bit of an early photon cannon happened at the other side of the map for Gem, but nothing really out of the ordinary. Heading on to Corsairs, building a Citadel as well, and that Dragoon is going to be able to clear the Overlord out of the main. Going to be able to, yes, going to be able to kill it. Cool.
Alright. Yeah. I'm not such a fan of Gem sending out that 2nd Zealot. With each Zealot you send out, your initial speed lot attack becomes exponentially weaker, because the difference between 7 and 6 Zealots is much bigger, or excuse me, much smaller than the difference between 6 and 5 Zealots. So it's going to cost you more. Not only that, but your opponent already has defenses up from the 1st Zealot attack. So it typically isn't a good idea to send out that Zealot. He did manage to pick up some more kills. Did kill off some Zerglings, and did get a scout off into the main, which that 1st Zealot didn't do. But it's just something to keep in mind that when Djem goes out for his 1st speed lot attack, 2 Zealots, a difference in 2 Zealots can be quite severe in how successful it is.
Yeah, it's definitely important. So yeah, as you said, those Zealots really need to pay for themselves, and they just didn't. The first one was a good idea, the second one was not such a good idea, and was easily shut down, as is usually the case, and I would have thought that Djem would know this. But it seemed like it was just a little bit of a peculiar decision. We do have the Zerg sim sitting up pretty nicely as his natural, laying down Kolll laying down an evolution chamber as well, in conjunction with that extra hatchery. So it's going to be pretty hard for Protoss to make its way through anywhere. Oh no, we do have a few Scourge popping out, might be able to land. Oh, almost landing on that Corsair, somehow getting away. Don't even know how that happened. Looked like a bit of missed micro there from Dragon.
I don't know either. But the Corsair very lucky to only take a single Scourge hit, and the 2 of them will be able to get back home without suffering any casualties, as the cannons will pick off that chaser. But Dragon has gotten up some good cities, has expanded down here. I'm going to be interested to see his lurker timing, because I think that he went for rather late lurkers last time around. I mean, not making lurkers until after his hive was started. So I'm going to keep an eye on when exactly he does get that lurker upgrade. And wait, does he doesn't have a Hydralisk Den? He doesn't have a Hydralisk Den.
I don't think he has a Hydralisk Den.
No,
I can't see one.
Normally you use an Evo Chamber here and a Hydralisk Den here, or vice versa, 1 Evo Chamber, 1 Hydralisk Den. But Dragon going for the double Evo Chamber means that he does not have any Hydralisk, relying just on Sunkens and Zerglings to defend against any aggression from Djem. Now, as we said, Djem's attacks will be weaker because he doesn't have those extra 2 speed lots. And this is a very interesting decision from Dragon, going for 4 bases before getting that Hydralisk Den. I'm intrigued to see how it works out.
You're right. It's very, very odd indeed. I'm just trying to kind of wrap my head around this. I'd like to see how this plays. I have. Oh no, we do have a Hydralisk Den up. Finally, I was thinking maybe he was going to go something really mad and go kind of all the way to Hive and go for big crackling stuff. But not doing anything quite so crazy. We do still have the Protoss Pressure coming in, which is a pretty good call. He still doesn't have the +1 weapons upgrade, which is not too far from being done, but that's still a little way away yet. Doing a nice job of cleaning up those Zerglings though, taking a fair amount of health damage to his Zealots. More Zerglings coming in and quickly being sent away by the superior Protoss force. You won't be able to push in here yet, however. You need quite a much larger force to actually get in there. Missing a couple of AFK drones as well. Huh.
Whoa. A Dragon making up for the fact that he had a late Hydralisk den, now building a second Hydralisk den to get that speed and range simultaneously? Speed and lurker simultaneously? I'm not even sure.
As long as it's not a mistake. It could be a mistake.
It could be a mistake, but typically when you make a mistake like that, you're building one Hydralisk den at one base and one at the other base, not literally right next to each other.
Yeah, that can't be a mistake. That's not a mistake.
But yet he's not using the second one.
He's not getting dual upgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got loads of minerals, he's got loads of gas in the bank. Oh no, there, finally. Lurker upgrade coming in now as well. But that's strange. I don't understand why he wouldn't just make one and then make another one. Maybe he misclicked and didn't manage to put a Hydralisk den down when he thought he had.
He hasn't gotten range yet, so he can still get range at the other Hydralisk den, yeah. And this is going to be the only benefit he gets. And it's questionable whether getting the range out that much faster for your Hydralisks is really going to be worth 100 minerals of 50 gas. I mean, it's not terribly big in either direction, but it is kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, it is interesting. I think you're right that it doesn't hugely matter. We could see a little bit of a High Templar snipe. Will he be able to get it? Oh, High Templar actually having to use his Storm in the end and does sacrifice his life for Aya, taking only a few Zerglings rather with him. It's probably not the best use of that, but once again, they'll all come out in the wash. Shouldn't be too much of a major issue. These guys are flying around trying to do some damage. We do already have a Spore Colony up at the third base. We already have a Spore Colony up at the natural as well. Nothing in the main, but of course there's no reason to keep your Overlords around there. And I thought for a second that I saw air armor upgrading. I did see air finished.
Yeah. Indeed.
Okay. Ooh. Thought I was going crazy again. Seeing scans.
Gem scouts the double Hydralisk den, but more importantly scouts the Queen's Nest, so he knows general hive timings of Dragon. Dragon, aside from the funky Hydralisk timing, doing next to the same opening he had in the other game. The other thing to notice about delaying the Hydralisk den was he did do double Evo chamber and did use his Evo chamber simultaneously, so he did get 1-1-1. I do believe the Zerglings have one. Not quite sure if the Zerglings have attack, but he got 1-1 no, they don't. Okay, he got 1-1 at least for the Hydralisks, faster than he normally would. Armor would not, either armor or attack would not quite be done yet. So we'll see. We'll see if this attack is going to be a little bit stronger than normal. The Gem does need to be careful here, moving out with his army so far out into the open, as Dragon is assembling quite the Hydralisk force.
Yeah, he needs to be very, very careful, especially with those High Templar, because those High Templar are really pretty stacked full of Storm. So he's got like 8 Storms in his army there, but if he were to lose just a couple of High Templar, then suddenly he'd be looking very, very toothless indeed. He'd have a little bit of a Corsair gambit heading on into the main. He'll be able to do some decent harassment and be able to pick off maybe 2-3 Overlords. Not a huge game breaker, but we'll be able to chip away at the Zerg just a little bit. And Gem setting up to take his 4th base here, relatively uninterrupted. But I always feel a little bit suspicious as Protoss when my 4th base is uninterrupted, because I just feel like the Zerg kind of knows it's happening, but he's happy not to do anything about it for some reason. Dragon, however, building up quite a few minerals in the back. We can see he's a little bit gas poor. Not really quite sure what he can do about that. So I guess this is the point where he's going to start really flooding with the speedlings pretty quickly.
Corsairs moved into the main to clear way for the shuttle, as it's flying over with 2 High Templar, 2 Dark Templar, and as we can see, there is no detection in the main, and certainly a lot of good places to drop High Templar for storms. This is a droppable cliff, and only that Sun Colony is not going to be able to kill the Templar fast enough. We'll have to see exactly how he uses them. The Dark Templar already in there doing damage. Dragon's not reacting yet. Storm's going down to the natural, not doing... Ooh. The Storm's really whiffing, getting very minimal kills, but the Dark Templar certainly doing lots of damage. Dragon reacts and only manages to save a single drone. As these Dark Templar wail away, they should probably focus on the Spire or the... they should probably be focusing on the Spire or the Hive rather than Sunken Colony and Extractor. And, ooh, interesting, Dragon getting drop.
Also interesting that we have that we had hold position on those Corsairs there, and as such they just all died absolutely helplessly to Hydralisk as they came in, not even managing to get any Corsair hits, Overlord hits rather, whatsoever. So it was a nice little bit of harass. A little bit hit and miss though for the Gem, because it cost them a lot to put those storms down into the natural. Those DTs weren't exactly free either, and those Corsairs also cost them one hell of a lot. And running up the ramp slightly foolishly, losing a few units to the Lurkers, laying away to the top. They're not too big of a deal, only 3 units going down. He'd probably do well to try and kind of look around for gaps. I mean, he could go up to the JeuXx top left-hand base, that 5th base going down now, and probably be able to take that out relatively unhindered. He just needs to poke around a little bit more, be a little bit more exploratory with his army.
The Gem very quietly, very subtly has got on even bases with the Zerg. It won't be when this mineral only finishes, but even bases with the Zerg and has a 40 supply lead. Or 30 supply lead now. But just very slowly extending to a pretty substantial lead. And it'll be interesting to see how Dragon deals with such a scary Protoss force with so many bases now, even taking that middle expansion. So that complete third of the map, it has Degem bases all over it. And Degem is gearing up for a very scary attack. Well, we'll have to see how he uses his storms. It's all going to come down to exactly how well he can play storms, how many of those lurkers and Hydralisks he can kill before the attack begins.
Yeah, this would rely entirely on careful micro. That's not careful micro. Sending the zealots in first is the last thing you want to do in this situation. This is what you want to be doing. You want to be distracting with a few zealots while you lay down as much storm as possible. Nice storms, taking out a lot of lurkers quite quickly. He needs to get a good carpet of storms off on the remaining lurkers as well, otherwise he's not going to make it through here without taking massive damage. Looks like he's lost all of his zealots already, and this could be really bad. He needs to get those zealots up from the back, otherwise the Dragoon's going to get torn to shreds by these speedlings. Are they cracklings already? I think they may be, I'm not quite sure. A lot of lurkers coming to reinforce. Why is he not using any storm? He doesn't have any storm left. Okay, and he should probably be retreating right now because there are so many lurkers in there and they're making absolute mincemeat of all these zealots. Really quite bad engagement there for our Protoss player, for the Gem. And he should just be pulling back now, trying to limit the damage, trying to make something decent out of this.
A mistake for Degem. He was in such a good position, did great damage with that attack. He just needed to pull back and not engage with zealots against those lurkers, and it's really going to cost him. What was looking like a great engagement, what was looking like great engagement. Oh, drop in the main, doing lots of damage, attacking that the nexus out in the middle of the map, sniping Templars as they spawn, and this base is in a lot of trouble. Dragon, with the interesting decision to get drop, is going to do a lot of damage here. This is such a cheap drop, as it's just cracklings, but he's already sniped 6 Templar, already taken out a bunch of probes, and now wailing away on gateways.
Yeah, these kind of ling drops are so terrifyingly effective. We can see how fast they're going through gateways. The health just ticks down and down at an incredible pace, taking out so many units as they spawn, making complete hash of the entire Protoss main. And of course the Protoss hasn't got anything to defend this, because he just spent his entire not too shabby army on trying to fruitlessly break the front of the Zerg space. He'll be regretting right now having thrown away all those Corsairs a little bit earlier as well, which is really coming back to bite him in the ass as his main base gets completely demolished by a relatively small drop, but there's really nothing he can do about it. And a Defiler now heading over to lay down Swarm at the Protoss' 4th base as well. I think this could be curtains for the Gem in this match at least.
Certainly looking like it. Dragon with a absolutely devastating counterattack, just waiting for the Gem to make a decisive engagement, commit his army, and then just hopping over the wall with a few control groups of Lings, and they are done so much damage already. So many pylons down, so many gateways down, so many units down, now taking out tech as well. Yeah,
I mean, this went so quickly for the Gem, from being a pretty solid game to suddenly being an absolute disaster. I mean, that failed attack just really finished it for him. He needed some kind of standing army on the field. He needed some Corsairs out as well. He didn't have either of those things, both slightly unnecessarily, I feel. So he's just kind of, I don't know, just didn't quite have the grip on this game that he'd want to. Dragon looking overall quite superior in the end.
Yep, and finally taking out the cannons at this base, now going to wail away on it. The mineral only is the only mining base, and that will not be for long as there's a swarm down, and the probes are being attacked by cracklings. GG from GG. Dragon looking very strong, will advance 2-0 to the round of 32.
Yeah, incredibly convincing game from Dragon there. I mean, once again, we saw a similar kind of thing. Protoss just needed to be a little bit more conservative with his engagement. He needed to be a little bit more measured and just take it a bit more slowly. You can't just bust in there in one big blaze of glory against the lurker defense. You have to kind of take it a little bit slowly, snipe it out, lay down careful storms. It can't just be throwing the zealots in there and then throwing in the dragoons after. It really doesn't work like that, and we saw him suffer for his quite gung-ho attitude in that engagement.
All right, game is up. We'll be moving on to the losers match. JeuXx versus Bakuryu. And Bakuryu needs to win 2 games in a row to not be one of the most surprising results of the group stages so far.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of people would be a little bit sad if Bakuryu were to go out at this stage. I guess he hasn't had that much time to practice recently because he just didn't look at all like his usual strong self in that previous game. But we'll see what he can pull out here in this next match on Aztec.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so here it is. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner as the red Zerg, we have ISL3 Bakuryu. And at the top of the map at the 12 o'clock position, spawning in as the yellow Protoss, we have ISL3 JeuXx, whichever one you really prefer.
I think if I just keep saying it like JeuXx and you keep saying it like we'll get it right half the time.
Yeah, it's all covered. It's all covered.
We'll get it right half the time, and 50% rounds up to 100%. So we'll get it right either way.
Oh, fantastic.
Math.
Okay, number crunching is good. Number crunching is fun.
I like number crunching.
I know you do. You're all over that kind of thing. So the Overlord scouting in the correct direction right from the start. Is he?
No.
He looked like he was kind of going upwards, maybe going over to the left now.
Heading into the center, hoping to find a probe, and he's going to get towards the middle of the map and then head up. He'll be able to see
full screen.
It'll be full screen. Thank you. Bakuryu does this on a lot of maps, setting the Overlord kind of splitting the difference between 2 bases, and then heading up, hoping to catch the probe and help that determine which way he's going to scout. But the probe will not help him in his direction. So it really does not change the overall time. Just a little small thing that Bakuryu can do to get a little bit more information.
He's still going to end up with pretty much the same scouting time. He is going to head straight up to the Protoss base, so that should be alright. Yeah, I guess that's the thing about these 3-player maps. There's no real kind of specific scouting direction because the Zerg's going to reach the natural, pretty much whatever direction he goes in at roughly the same time. Just having a look at the distances now, it looks like, yeah, it scouts at the same time either way, so it's pretty much all guesswork right here. But that's okay, there's got to be a bit of guesswork. And hopefully we'll see a good wall in from the Protoss this time. Yes, it looks like it's going to be the same wall in that we saw last match as well. Not that it really helped poor Gem in his struggle against Dragon, but nonetheless it's a good wall in. Should help him in the other game.
Indeed. There's no wall in good enough in the world to stop crackling drops. So sad.
Yeah, pretty depressing stuff. I mean, this map kind of allows for that kind of thing. It's quite easy to get drops unless you take that base on the high ground kind of behind your main, where you can actually see if the Overlords are incoming and position cannons to defend your base and to defend your main as the drops come in as well. But there was really no room for the Gem to do that, and he really paid the price. But there's just such a huge perimeter around this base over which Zerg can just kind of hop units, and that's really a pretty uncomfortable position to be in. Interesting to see the hatchery positioning for the Zerg at his natural. I didn't quite see if there was a pylon laid down or something. I was busy going on about it. Okay.
JeuXx did throw down the manor pylon, and this is just Bakuryu's style of getting 4 hatches very quickly. This is typically not the first hatchery he throws down, though. It's going to be one of the later ones. But still, this is just what Bakuryu's style is, and I've seen him react that way multiple times against a manor pylon. Just does not want to deal with it at all, and throws down the SimCity hatchery first. Now,
that kind of makes sense.
In the last game, I really didn't feel like Bakuryu looked horribly bad. It's just he reacted improperly to a weird build. Simple as that.
Which I think was what the Protoss was banking on, to be honest, judging by the way that build played out.
Yeah, it's just he got a little bit unlucky with the It was a combination of not quite having the right reaction with getting a little bit unlucky with the DT that managed to do lots and lots of damage. So, moving into this game, I'm not horribly worried for Bakuryu that he's going to slip up like that again, because we don't see JeuXx doing that. And if Bakuryu manages to get into his stride and go for a more standard kind of build, I think we're going to get to see why Bakuryu is such a fan favorite here.
Yeah, I mean, this map really will be quite comfortable for Bakuryu because he will know that there's no real chance of any kind of one base kind of thing on here. So that already limits the possibilities to a certain extent for our Protoss player. And Bakuryu will probably be quite glad about that after the last game went. But yeah, I've kind of got my fingers crossed for him. It would be good to see something a little bit good from him. Of course, I'm a bit of a fan of the underdog as well in the form of JeuXx. We haven't really seen a huge amount for him in the past, so it's nice to have someone slightly different coming up. But beating out Bakuryu, I don't know, just wouldn't feel right somehow.
I am saving my rooting for the underdog for next round, where I get a root for AnkleBreak.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Practically unknown player coming up to take on the best, which is good stuff.
Well, I will save talking about AnkleBreak until AnkleBreak actually comes up.
Can you?
Returning to this game, though, you don't see anything terribly out of the normal for JeuXx. Stargate's on the way, only a single gateway. Gas will probably be thrown down relatively soon. And Bakuryu is able to go into a standard style. He does now have his 4 hatcheries. Hydralisk Den comes up next. And it looks like that drone is threatening to make it.
Well, this is remarkably strange, though, not seeing a gas from Protoss quite yet. I mean, he looks like he's threatening to lay it down anytime. Probes keep kind of waving around there and then going back again. But this can only point to a speed zealot build. We do have a citadel already down. But I just feel like this may be a bit too obvious. I think Bakuryu's got a pretty good handle on this. And that Overlord is going to make it over. And it's probably going to scout that complete lack of gas at the natural as well. So no part of me imagines that Bakuryu won't be able to really see what's going on. We do have three gateways being laid down as well. It's interesting that we haven't got +1 coming in for the Zealots yet. And that Dragoon, he might not be able to block out that Overlord from starting the 3 gateways. Did the Overlord see it? I'm not sure. He will have at least seen 1 on the right hand side. Those 2 will have been kept secret. What was the thing? Oh yeah, I just can't imagine that Bakuryu won't really know what's going on here. He'll probably have a pretty nice handle on this, laying down a couple of sunken colonies already.
Yeah, I think Bakuryu's definitely going to know what's up. Scouting 1 gateway is almost as good as scouting the other 2. And Bakuryu's style, I particularly like against this. He's going to have up the early Hydralisk Den, get the early Lurkers, which are really going to be effective against defending the Zealots. And then if he goes for the Mutalisk transition, which he does oh so often, that's just going to continue to help it. But
yeah, I mean that's a really pretty early Lurker aspect. And to be fair to a Protoss player, he's really done all he can to get those Zealots out as quickly as possible. But the main thing you can't afford to sacrifice when you're going for a big early build is scouting information. You can't afford to give that away, and Bakuryu saw all he needed to see. So I think he's going to be thoroughly clued up on this, laying down Sunkens wherever he needs them, preparing a pretty solid defensive Lurkers through which I just can't see those Zealots breaking.
Now, I think that the natural is safe, but that's where JeuXx is heading. If you look at the 3rd of Bakuryu, it looks a lot more vulnerable, as he doesn't have a SimCity up there, and his defense is just hiding Sunkens in the back. He doesn't even have the geyser done. So drone drills are going to be kind of hard. But JeuXx isn't going in that direction. He's instead attacking the natural, but Lurkers are already on the way. JeuXx doesn't even have an observer. Even if he did, there's still just nothing he could do against this. There's just no way this attack can work. Given how far the Zealots are already in there, I think he's better off just trying to run into the main to do some damage. But no, he's still going to try to focus down those sunken colonies. Doesn't get either yet, and those eggs are doing a great job of blocking the Zealots. This attack is just falling apart.
Yeah, and the Protoss player is absolutely bleeding units at this point. He's chucking stuff in. He's throwing in more and more stuff. He's using those Corsairs to try and do some damage. But all Bakuryu's having to do is just having to keep those drones off the line, keep those sunken colonies alive, and all of the Zealots go down. Absolute disaster for a Protoss player. We've seen he's completely cut probes for the last couple of minutes at least, so his economy's in an absolutely dreadful position. He's still producing out of those 3 gateways, but he's got no standing army left. He's got 5 Zealots, which is really nothing, and he's done absolutely no damage to the economy, to the army, or to the infrastructure of Bakuryu, putting Bakuryu in an excellent position in the mid game.
did not kill any probes, or excuse me, did not kill any drones, did not even get one of those 2 sunken colonies. And JeuXx, despite the fact that he has the Zealot Force, despite the fact that he went for a Gateway Heavy build, is behind in supply. Oh, he just recaught up and is barely ahead now. Now going to head towards the other side, though, and the other side is still a better target, but that one lurker is going to make things difficult. He might just have enough Zealots to ignore a single lurker, though. We're going to have to see how much damage he can do. No, backing off now. That Evolution Chamber getting thrown down just in time. That was really going to force the Zealots into a batting position, taking a lot of splash damage.
No, it's an important evolution chamber because those Zealots would have been forced into a nice big line. Trying to get rid of those sunken colonies would have been, as such, completely ruined by that one single lurker doing its thing. So a bit of an interesting cock-up from Bakuryu, heading a lurker on straight into the Protoss cannons at the natural, which is quite interesting. We do have observers already on the way, so JeuXx doing a nice job of kind of bargaining for this. But it looks like he's just pretty much thrown economy to the wind. His natural is so undersaturated, I can't even begin to explain. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 probes mining minerals. He should at least transfer a couple out from his main. But he's just so poor at this stage. I don't really know what he's going to be able to do. Bakuryu knows this. He knows he's in no real danger, so he just chucks down a 4th. And this puts his economy just miles and miles ahead. I think unless this is a magic push from the Protoss player, it's probably going to be the end of the game quite soon.
And we're seeing from Bakuryu stage 2 of his build. First stage is to get those fast lurkers. Second stage is to go into a Mutalisk transition, and there is no Corsair presence. There is no cannons in the mineral line. There is not even a Templar Archives to possibly get Storms or Archons to shoot at the Mutalisk. It's just going to come down to basically the Dragoons that are with this army, and Bakuryu looks like he's in a fabulous transition. His 4-hatch build was going to work out perfectly against the type of aggression JeuXx wanted to go for, and we're going to have to see what he could do with this essentially final attack against Bakuryu's natural.
Oh, and for a final attack, it's not started off very well. Those meters get straight in the snipe out the observer. It looks like the Protoss is continuing on it anyway. I think he's pretty much just thrown it to chance, but there is absolutely no way he's busting in here. All his stuff is going to be completely taken to pieces by a combination of Mutalisks and Lurkers. Those Mutalisks going a bit mad and flying straight into all the Dragoon fire, but I really don't think it matters. The Zerg just has such a strong infrastructure behind him, as all the Dragoons get completely demolished, and the few that are remaining are forced to pull back. Still no third base, even forthcoming for JeuXx. Now he chooses his moment perfectly to try and produce some more probes, but honestly, it's way too little, too late. He's desperately undersaturated at all his bases, and I'd be amazed if he manages to do anything against the Zerg SimCity at the left-hand side.
I don't know if JeuXx hadn't had any hope before, but after the rarely seen Mutalisk snipe of an observer, he certainly did not have any hope after that. JeuXx going for the desperation play, attacking the other base, hoping to get any kind of damage done, but no.
GG.
Lurker's too strong. GG, and Bakuryu will advance to play to Gem in the final match, a rematch of game number 1.
Yeah, and thank God Bakuryu looking a lot more convincing there. Unfortunately for JeuXx, that is going to be it for him. But well fought nonetheless, and Bakuryu is no small opponent to be beaten out by. And we will see if Bakuryu can bring his A game here to undo that previous damage done to our Russian Protoss friend Gem in the next match.
Yep. Ooh, map's gonna be Heartbreak Ridge. I'm really interested to see if Gem does it again. Was it a one-off build? Was it a Bakuryu specific build? Was it something he just feels is actually a legitimate strategy? And he can do it repeatedly, and the element of surprise isn't necessary?
I wouldn't imagine so.
It's Heartbreak Ridge. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
We have no idea. Let's go.
Okay, the map, as previously stated, is the mighty Heartbreak Ridge. So on the left-hand side, spawning in as a blue Zerg, we have Bakuryu trying to take it to the next level after that first rather unfortunate loss to the current Protoss player on the right-hand side, who is, of course, the Gem, spawning in as the brown player. If anyone is unsure of exactly what's going on here, what you're watching, or why, then head on over to altitudeisl.net, where you can see all the full statistics and pretty much everything you will ever need to know about this tournament. So that's altitudeisl.net for all your Altitude ISL information. Enough eyes in there to turn my mouth inside out.
You are really good at that. We put it.
Oh, yeah?
We put altitudeisl.net on like all the different pieces of graphics because I was being terrible at remembering to tell people they should go there. But you are doing quite a good job of it.
Even if my tongue does go in knots when I try and say all that stuff at once, it's crazy.
You pull it
Turns
off
my
well.
head. No, thank you. I'm flattered. Anyway, we do have the probe now heading out, having laid down the pylon at the front of the base, and that looks like slightly odd pylon positioning there. I'd expect it to be maybe one thingamajig further back, just so it can be a little bit tighter with the next. It's not 100% tight, but a little bit tighter. But I'm splitting hairs. It should probably be absolutely fine. Going to lay down the forge on the bottom so it can form a perfect block with the gateway on top. We do have a spawning pool laid down already for the Zerg, so not going for any kind of super fast expander, which makes sense on a two-player map because that probe would be able to block the hatchery all day, even doing some pylon shenanigans if it so wished.
Now, I don't know if you quite caught it, but it was worth mentioning. Bakuryu sent out a drone. It just popped up the ramp and immediately came back down. He was searching that out just because he is afraid of a forge wall-off. There's a strategy on this map where if you build the pylon on the high ground here, it won't be seen by a drone just moving out, and it will power a forge that will completely wall this, make it Zergling tight, or not Zergling tight, as we saw in our first cast together. You can mess that up, but if you do it correctly, it will be tight, and it can be just such a pain to try to deal with. So that was why Bakuryu swung out with the drone and immediately brought it back.
Yeah, it really can. We have a little bit of fun stuff happening at the Zerg's natural, trying to get rid of that probe, managing eventually the probe losing quite a lot of its health, but not too big of a deal because once the Zerglings decide they're going to kill it, they'll probably get it eventually anyway. Hatching only a couple of Zerglings now, so I don't expect to see any kind of run by action or anything. A little bit of a late cannon being laid down by Jem. Maybe he was slightly in indecision about whether to lay down the Nexus first or lay down the cannon, but either way, the Nexus is down now. Cannon is on the way up as well. So there's going to be little or no chance of any kind of run by action from Bakuryu with 4 Zerglings out now on the map. And yeah, this is where we get to see how the game really progresses. No gas as of yet from the Zerg player, but I expect to see that relatively soon. And we do see him going up to lay down a third, presumably with that drone, unless it's just doing some really bizarre, peculiar scouting, which I can't imagine it would. Oh, pylon action.
Going to be blocked off. Now, no, ooh, off-placed hatch at that location is quite interesting. Now, obviously we've seen Bakuryu do that a couple times where he just throws the off-place hatch when he's blocked, but that's not where you normally place a hatchery, or that's not where you normally place the off-placed hatch. He normally places it to wall off his natural.
I think that there is room for another hatchery at the correct position for this base, so maybe that was roughly what he was planning to do anyway, lay down more hatcheries, so maybe he's going for more of a big kind of hydro-based build. But even so, yeah, that kind of took me by surprise, especially since he already has Zerglings out on the map, and especially since he's in no danger from any kind of zealot pressure or anything at this stage. I would have expected him to just bring his Zerglings back and clean that cannon out. Really a little bit strange from Bakuryu. Can't say I understand that too well.
Bakuryu just sent me a message explaining his scouting. And his message is essentially what I think he said. So I'm hoping I was just a little bit late with that, and I did not misrepresent what his intentions were. But yeah, it was just confirming that he's looking to make sure that there wasn't a pylon up there that's powering the forge.
Yeah.
Now, anyway, what I was trying to say was that normally, just given that Bakuryu does not cheese often at all, you would think that Heartbreak Ridge is not a good map for him, because Zergs do well on this map in large part because of the ability to cheese, not because of the base layout. But given Bakuryu's 2-hatch style, because he does not go for that early 4th base, Heartbreak Ridge isn't actually that bad of a map for him. He can relatively easily get an army back and forth between these 2 general locations to guard an attack from either direction. He has this high ground ridge to defend his 3rd base, and Mutalisks can be rather effective on this map. So,
yeah,
I think in a kind of backwards way, Heartbreak Ridge is actually a pretty good map for Bakuryu's 4-hatch style. I know he was complaining about it earlier, that he did not like the map pool for this round, but...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
But Bakuryu's just hyper-modest to a fault where he's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Everybody in this group is so much better than me. I don't know how I can possibly do it. So I think it was just a little bit more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. And maybe he doesn't want to build too many expectations on himself as well, which is completely fair enough, because he knows that people want him to win, but he doesn't want to go blazing in there saying, yeah, I'm going to take everybody down. And then if he has a bit of a dodgy day or whatever and he goes out, he looks a little bit foolish. I think he's probably trying to avoid that. We don't have any mad stuff happening from the gem, unlike what Joe is doing. He is producing probes and everything. He has more than 6 probes mining at each base, and this is good stuff. This is good to see from our Protoss player. Meanwhile, at the other side of things, Bakuryu, as expected, did lay down that extra hatchery at the normal position, so now it simply leaves him with 2 hatcheries at his third base. A little bit sparse on the SimCity at his natural, though. However, he has gone for a pretty early Hydralisk den, as we imagined he probably would, given that he was going to have at least 1 extra hatchery on the map anyway. But this is well scouted by that probe from Gem, so that's actually pretty nice for him. So he's going to see what's going on. He does see a Hydralisk up already, sees the Hydralisk then at the natural too. So he should be relatively well prepared against this kind of play.
Did Gem actually build a very early robo facility, which I'm quite intrigued by as to what he's going to do with that. Do you think it's going to be just for the fast observers, or do you think he's going to go for Reaver? Oh, well, that answers that question. He's thrown down the robo support. He is going to go for some fast Reaver play. A little bit of Corsair Reaver action.
This is cool, but why is he gone for Dragoon range? Instead of +1 air weapons, and in a Corsair Reaver build, you'd expect the absolute opposite. You'd expect for him to go +1 air weapons, then you'd expect him to lay down shuttle speed, which he should do any second now, otherwise it makes the shuttle so easy to kill with just a few Scourge. Yeah. Come on, Jim.
Theoretically, you are able to keep even a slow shuttle alive if you have absolutely impeccable Corsair control. But it's a level of Corsair control that not even all pro gamers have. Much less
not even most pro gamers. Most pro gamers can't do it.
Right.
You so often see these kind of shuttle/Corsair disasters of early Corsair flying headlong into a bunch of Scourge, which is ugly, but it's easy to do.
I absolutely love Corsair Reaver just for the theory of Corsair Reaver. Theoretically, Corsair Reaver should be absolutely invincible if you can micro it correctly. Because if you do everything perfectly, there's absolutely nothing Zerg can do against it. But that's just such a big if. And if you mess up, it is only your fault. It's not because the Zerg did a build that countered you, or because the Zerg was particularly good. It's because you made a mistake with that. So it's I just love it on that level. It's so cool.
Yeah, but this is going to be Goon Ser Reaver. So this is going to be more of a timing burst oriented kind of build. Which I've got to say, I haven't seen this kind of thing for quite a long time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like this. This is interesting stuff, because instead of going for a kind of harassment-based play like you usually see with Corsair Reaver, which is no bad thing, because as you already say, it's fascinating theory and it allows for such a high skill cap. But this kind of big Dragoon burst thing could really catch Bakuryu off guard. He needs to be super careful and needs to be very diligent with his scouting from now in order to be thoroughly up to date with exactly what's going to come at him. Otherwise, he could get caught off guard very easily.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be quite interested to see how this is executed, because this is going to be quite... It's going to be a really interesting movement out. As you said, probes have... he's producing probes at one of his nexus. I guess he's not cutting probes with this attack, but it's certainly going to delay any hopes of a third, and he really does need to do a lot of damage with this attack. But it's going to be interesting to see exactly how he executes it, exactly how many units he's moving out with. He's making more Reavers now. I'm assuming those Reavers are going to be more for defensive, though, rather than moving out with 2 shuttles worth of Reavers.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and as you said, scouting is going to be a huge issue. Exactly how long will Bakuryu go until he realizes what exactly the Gem's going to try to do here?
He's got to know that something's up though, because Jeff hasn't moved out with anything yet. There haven't been Zealots, or he might have seen the Dragoons there as the Scourge flew into those cannons. He may have seen them, he may not, I don't know. Scourge, of course, don't have a great sight range. He will have a strong idea that that third base is going down, so he should be heading over to try and put an end to that quite soon, as one of his links just died up there. I believe. And oh, a little bit risky, that shuttle almost getting caught. That would have been a massive, massive sucker punch to Gem of this situation. He really needs to get moving out from the map pretty soon. Oh no, please don't do this. That shuttle in so much trouble and just manages to somehow luck its way through. Those Corsairs taking one for the team. And still no shuttle speed on the way in. So this kind of Protoss living on the edge, no shuttle speed is going to make life very, very difficult for him at the very least.
Yeah, Bakuryu researching +1 air armor. Actually, it just finished now. So now the Scourge will be even harder to kill off. Bakuryu wants to go shut down this base. There are 2 Reavers in the back here. They should be able to do a lot of damage to these Hydralisks, but the Hydralisks can close the gap very quickly. And the shuttle does go down. The Reavers will follow suit. They do manage to get some Hydralisk kills, but not enough. And that's a good attack from Bakuryu. And now notice, Gem mined out his minerals. So Bakuryu now has another avenue to attack if he wants to go in that direction. Gem moving his army out as if to counterattack, actually slow walking a Reaver out to come and attack him from behind. Bakuryu has some lurkers in position. He's going to get his Hydralisk into position as well. I really think Bakuryu should take advantage of the fact that his minerals are mined out and send a couple Hydralisks, maybe a couple lurkers down and harass some of those probes. But right now, he needs to win this engagement. He is going to do a lot of damage to those Zealots. The rest of the army wasn't even really engaging there, as these slow Reavers are trying to walk themselves in. Now finally putting hits on the lurkers. And Hydralisk closes in, going to go for the Reaver snipe again, gets it.
Yeah, he's doing really, really well with these Reaver snipes. I'm going to still hold true to my original statement. This is supposed to be a burst-orientated play rather than a kind of third base orientated play, because why, oh why? If you're going to try and get a third base well defended, why would you wait until Zerg has 4 bases, and why would you make a kind of big army? Why wouldn't you try something a little bit more sneaky? Very incredibly strange decisions there from Gem. On the face of it seemed like a decent build to allow for a timing burst, but in the end, it just really, really didn't pan out very well. We have a bunch of probes heading on up to scout that lurker out, and that lurker could do some pretty nasty damage, but those probes don't decide to stack back on the minerals. Oh, they might do such confusion there in the mineral line. And the Gem is having so much trouble trying to get around there to clean out this one single lurker, which just made an absolute tip of his entire mining operation as Zerg heads down to the bottom right-hand corner to take a 5th base for himself.
I thought that he was pulling the probes to his main because he saw the lurker with the pylon, but then they all started to go up the ramp, and I realized he was actually trying to transfer to the 3rd, almost making a crucial mistake there, but does not take any permanent damage from that lurker, just losing a little bit of mining time, which is certainly not as devastating as it would be to have lost all those probes in a botched transfer.
Yeah, it would have been horrible. You keep saying crucial, by the way. That's my line. Crucial's mine.
Crucial's yours?
You're taking it from crucial. I meant to say crucial.
I will try to keep that in mind.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know you mean well, but it hurts me.
I have no personality of my own. I just absorb the mannerisms of people around me.
It's alright, you can take it. I got it. I've got a whole vocabulary behind me. We still have these slow walking Reavers kind of chugging around the map a little bit. I'm surprised he hasn't got another shuttle produced. Not that it really helped him when he did have one, it just kind of ended pretty hideously for all his Reavers concerned. But Bakuryu's economy is so good, and the Gem is just kind of wandering around with a fairly decent army. But now is really the time for him to try and do something as all these Hydras funnel through the middle of the map. He needs to get a very, very favourable engagement position for this to work out well for him in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, it's almost as if Bakuryu's saying, Gem, I'm not sure you exactly know what you're doing here. I don't know what you're trying to do here. That's fine. I'm just gonna take every map on the base, and when you decide to attack me, then we can have our battle. But until then, I'm gonna be secure on 5 bases before you finally get across halfway with the map. Oh, going in for Templar snipes, and still managing to get some good storms down, but does manage to kill off the Templar. Bakuryu not storm dodging at all, losing a whole mess of Hydralisks, but can still come in and attack, slow walking these Reavers over, and the Mutalisks can go in for more Templar snipes, more Reaver snipes, and these Reavers are going to go down as there's not enough units to defend them. And DeGem's weird Dragoon Corsair Reaver play doesn't work out without shuttles.
Yeah.
It certainly does not work out without shuttles.
at all. He just couldn't keep those Reavers alive, couldn't even keep them with his army, and his storms were late on the scene as well. That engagement was just hideous for him. It just looked careless at every turn, because he had the capability for that to go really well for him. If he had his High Templar up with the army and his Reaver, lay down a lovely carpet of storms over all those Hydras and get some good Reaver shots going off, but he just didn't manage it well at all. His army was going in bits and bobs, and it showed. He's got nothing left, and the Zerg is just kind of barreling down his throat right now, taking a supply lead as well, 123 to 111. Bakuryu is sitting pretty on so many bases now. Gem, he's just going to be fighting from an incredibly behind position from here on in.
Bakuryu going from 15 behind at the beginning of that battle to 15 ahead, and given the fact that he's on 5 bases, it's only just going to continue to ramp up. He has Hive Tech, yet to see any of the Hive Tech units. He does have a Defiler Mound and Ultra's Cavern done. I don't think any of them are actually incorporated in the army yet, as his upgrades are just starting. Or, excuse, one of them's starting, one of them's finishing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's... I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this, that army, that battle, this game so far. Very strange.
I don't think Djem's build was completely thought out, because we both saw the build and we both went, he's got to do a bust. He's gearing up for this big army. He's going to be really strong for a bust, and if he can micro correctly, he's going to do a lot of damage. But then he didn't do the bust, and he tried to expand behind it, and then he just kind of his way into being significantly behind.
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, we've seen some good early third builds in the past where you can kind of shuttle Reavers over, but they have to be with the backing of cannons. They have to be with a good SimCity. They have to have a few zealots in there as well, so you can do it off kind of Reavers and only a few gateways, but it's not easy to do. And that was just such a late third. I don't really know what he was really thinking. Zerg is staved off for a little bit longer though, but Bakuryu just has such a huge army, uprooting all his lurkers again. Looks like he's going to try and outmaneuver the Protoss just a little bit, and Protoss just has such a small army, somehow on 150 supply, Bakuryu on 150 as well, both going toe to toe for supply here. I don't know where all Gem's supply is. I guess it's all in probes. He has a huge number of probes mining at his natural. It's really pretty stacked up there. But this huge contain is moving closer and closer to him the whole time, and now Bakuryu is well entrenched up on the top of that ridge, and barring incredible storms and great Reaver micro, it's going to be tough to clear that out. Another big army coming down on the lower right hand side of the map, made of mostly speedlings.
Yeah. As you can see, Djem, a huge number of Templar. They even have the energy upgrade, and theoretically, oh wow, Dark Archon. Here comes the attack. Most of Djem's Templar, though, are not in to help out with this, and they'd be really helpful at this point. They're going to have to run through a lurker field, so it's going to be really delayed. But it doesn't matter, though. The Reaver and the cannons are going to be good enough to hold Bakuryu back. Not such a good attack for Bakuryu, but not losing to anything too expensive there. Just a bunch of Zerglings and Hydralisks.
Yeah, that was, barring that he didn't lose anything expensive, that was a dreadful attack. I mean, it wasn't particularly bad for him, but just all I could hear was Zerglings dying. I don't think Protoss lost anything apart from maybe a forge or so. But I don't think it matters. Djem finally taking a little bit of initiative and sending some zealots up to the top left-hand base, so Bakuryu isn't going to be able to take his side of the map. At least Bakuryu's just going to have to stay on his own side of the map. But even so, Djem will know what kind of trouble he's in. He's got an observer hovering over the bottom right-hand base as well, so he knows exactly what's going on there. Laying down some nice storms to try and break through this contain up on the ridge here. And using up a whole bunch of storms all on small clump of Hydras all at once. He needs to bring his zealots in there to reinforce, and these Hydras are just going to make light work of a couple of Templar. Oh no, actually managed to get away with that one. But more units coming in here for Bakuryu, and will the storms be good enough for the Gem? Just selecting all the High Templar at once. Gem, you're not playing StarCraft 2. What have you been doing with your time? That is not the way we storm in Broodwar, and wasting so many storms all in one there. He's pretty badly on life support. All his drones tricking out his natural as he runs out of minerals. Bakuryu just basically needs to keep chucking units at him now until the death.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Djem to keep these bases safe. I mean, the stacked storms did manage to kill off a bunch of units, although one storm would have done exactly as much damage. So he will hold on this base, not bringing over Reavers, but as you said, mined out the natural, and actually starting to run down on the third, and then that's only 2 bases. Now Bakuryu finally incorporating in some Ultralisks, even bringing in a drop. Are those drop? No, they're not drops. They're just Overlords hanging out. Oh, one of them was a drop. There was one that loaded up with Zerglings. But here comes the attack. Not even going to have Swarm in this, but too many Cracklings. Going to do a lot of damage here. The Lurker's doing a lot of damage to the probes, and it looks like this base with not going to quite fall. The Reavers are just a little bit too strong, but good damage done and making it very vulnerable to the next attack that Bakuryu's going to send out.
Yeah, this has been a weird kind of game. Jem hasn't taken initiative really at any point. I don't think he's even been to Bakuryu's natural with anything since he had that first scouting probe out, which is really pretty telling. No pressure on Zerg means a happy Zerg, and we can see exactly what the Zerg does. He takes every base that is available to him, and that is bad times. So as you can see, it becomes impossible to close that supply gap. A big army now coming across the middle of the map for Bakuryu. He's got so many ultralists in there. He's got a good number of leads as well. Some storm being laid down, but that does hardly anything to ultralists, and the Protoss army is paling in comparison. So many zealots dying. Zealots are the last thing you want on the map at this point. You need those big gas units, and Jem just doesn't have the cash for that. He does not have the resources to make an army that can go in any way head to head with what Bakuryu is putting out here.
This army for Jem, it had Reavers, it had Archons. Oh, getting scourged. It had Reavers, it had Archons, it had High Templar. It looked like a really strong army, but it was so fragmented engagement. Only getting off 4 or so storms when he had 8 High Templars in his army is unexcusable. And if there was little Jem could do at that point, but now certainly without his army, without a way to even rebuild it, we didn't even get to see him use his Dark Templar. So sad.
Yeah, bad times.
Okay, thank you.
Maelstrom!
Thank you to
Show
Jem.
Maelstrom there. But once again, you'd have to call on the forces of magic for that to be really particularly effective, and out come those Ultras to continue making a mess of the Protoss force. And Protoss has nothing in the bank, nothing left. Good luck, GG from Jem. And Bakuryu goes through.
Yeah, very glad to see Bakuryu advanced. Rocky started game 1 versus Jem, but pulled it together. All right.
Yeah, it was a nightmare start, but he's there right now. He's rolling. Good for Bakuryu.
So, this is going to be Group 10, Kolll versus AnkleBreak, Kasio versus Bizzy. And we will be bringing that to you just after a brief commercial break. Stay tuned. And we are back. Group 10, Kolll, AnkleBreak, Kasio, and Bizzy. I have something on my Skype. Oh.
It was me.
It was you. You're getting some water. I now have video.
Oh, no.
So I can see your beautiful face, but the viewers cannot.
More's the pity. Yeah, I'm just going to turn that right off. Must have misclicked. Bam.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Because I have my mic muted, and then I unmuted it. Must have clicked the video as well. My bad.
Alright. So, we are going to go straight into this. Kolll versus AnkleBreak. There we go. I hate how it puts it in numerical order, so that 10 comes before 11, comes before 9.
Yes,
Because 9 is before 1. Yeah. That gets me. But I found it. That's what matters.
Okay, awesome. I guess we're pretty much ready to do this. I'm ready for the game to start.
We are.
Okay, so here it is. We have moved on from that first group. That first group goes down in history. If you want to check out the history, go over to altitudeisl.net where you can see everything that's been going on and everything that's going to be going on in the future for this tournament, and keep up to date with all of the fun stuff that's happening. And AnkleBreak giving the big shout out, clearly knowing exactly what's going to be going down here. Good for him trying to publicize it. But no. Oh, seriously. There is something so not classy about that. Thank you, AnkleBreak.
All right.
Thank you for your input. Okay, so please no more.
Are you in a clan? No. Is Kolll in a clan?
He's trying to recruit during the ISL.
God, didn't this happen earlier?
Yeah.
No, this totally happened. He totally tried to convert somebody to UED during the qualifiers. It was Messer.
He's a madman.
He totally in the middle of, it was like the 4th game of the best of 5. He's like, hey, do you have a clan? It's out of absolute nowhere.
Really? Oh, and now trolling. Right, okay. If we could turn the chat off, that would be great, because he's just basically a huge troll. And Kolll not having any of his rubbish. Have fun from Kolll. So finally going to do the shoutouts after all that mess. At the top left-hand corner we have Kolll spawning in as the orange Zerg, and in the bottom left-hand corner we have AnkleBreak spawning in as the yellow Terran. But notably right in the middle of the map already we have a barracks being thrown down. So we're going to see some cheesy stuff here from AnkleBreak. Not only pulling out the troll threats, not only trying to recruit Kolll to his team, but also then decided to do some cheese in the middle of the map as well. So that's a little bit interesting. We can see he's completely cut SCVs at home. And oh no, it's a second racks, 2 racks in the middle of the map, so this is just all out cheese. He's probably heard of Kolll, judging from this little bit of a performance here.
No, it's not that. Oh, he played 7 games in the qualifiers. Every one of those 7 games were cheese. He just cheeses everyone. He is that guy. He's 48 really APM. Oh, okay, it's increasing now. It was at 48 APM for a second. It's not quite a BBS. I mean, he went Barracks Supply Barracks rather than Barracks Supply, but
BSP doesn't sound cool though.
Yeah, it is pretty cheesy.
Yeah. Kolll losing one of his drones is going to be able to take out one of the SCVs if AnkleBreak does micro correctly. AnkleBreak does look like he's got this pretty well sorted for what it is at the moment, and now heading into Koll's main with a couple of SCVs. Koll's spawning pool only just coming up now. He needs to get that, get some Zerglings in as quickly as possible. We do have a bunker going down as well. Very sensibly cancelling out that hatchery. He'll probably lay down another one in his main in order to facilitate some kind of hope of getting lots and lots of Zerglings out. There we go. He does in fact lay down another hatchery. Has a little bit of a drone scout sneaking around, seeing what's happening outside in his natural. He will see that that bunker finish, but he'll assume as much anyway. Might get caught by these. No, not quite getting caught, and he does now have enough Zerglings out to keep him safe for the moment at least versus this incredibly cheesy play. AnkleBreak, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I mean, how do you stop Koll's famous 2-hatch Mutalisk? Try to kill him before he can get a lair, I guess.
Yeah.
Zergling run by, just going to avoid the bunker, trying to do some damage because obviously AnkleBreak will not have a lot of defenses back home. Does manage to get 3 out of the 6, but AnkleBreak's moving up with a pretty sizable force. That's 5 Marines and a couple SCVs. The Sunken Colony is going to be very close, but it does finish only with 100 health. AnkleBreak not going to stick around though. It's going to cost him a Marine and an SCV on the retreat. How much damage can these 3 Zerglings do from Kolll though?
Well, realistically, I think their best bet is trying to shut off reinforcements. Kolll has other ideas. He's going to go straight to the Terra main, and they can do a lot of damage. As we can see, there are hardly any SCVs with which he can drill those Zerglings. And AnkleBreak deciding that this is the time where he needs to really make something happen. Kolll knows this. He pulls all his drones off to make sure that that Sunken Colony stays alive just as long as possible. AnkleBreak doesn't look entirely sure how to micro this.
Running around the Sunken Colonies!
Oh no! Kolll!
Wait, there's not a lot of Zerglings here. He's not throwing down another Sunken. Okay, the Zerglings are doing a lot of damage back home. All the SCVs are dead. AnkleBreak did not micro even a little bit. He has no SCVs back home now.
Yeah.
But he's doing damage to Kolll. He's going to be able to take out all of these Zerglings. And a good number of the drones. I mean...
No, he's alright.
I mean, Kolll has drones. AnkleBreak does not have SCVs except for these two that are attacking the refinery. Now, these drones... He can't quite attack the drones that are mining. That Sun Colony just covers them a little bit too well. But he is going to be able to take out this hatchery and force the drones to start mining long range. AnkleBreak did have a little bit of a bank, so he could continue to make eyes, but he lost his command center. Oh, he didn't lose the command center. He just lifted the command center. He lost the supply depot.
Yeah.
And trying to get reinforcement marines to help out with the other ones, but cannot quite get them over there. Now going to run it the other way. It might be able to get back to the bunker. Kolll long distance mining. But there's too many Zerglings. Now the SCVs are not in the correct position to try to block. He needed a good block there to have any chance. And now all the Marines are dead. Well, at least all the Marines there are dead. He still does have 7 supply. 6 supply, 5 supply, okay. Okay, the Marines that were by the barracks. He's lifted his barracks. He has a lifted command center and 2 lifted barracks and 2 bunkers. He's got this, man.
Yeah.
He has 3 Marines and an SCV.
I don't even know what to say about him at this point. He's actually going to land his command center in Koll's natural, presumably in an attempt to start mining again.
Dude,
I don't even know. And it seems he's... he finally realizes what's going on here. And it looks like he's making ready to tap out as Kolll creeps out with Soka Colonies. Doesn't even need to bother. And bam, AnkleBreak has left the game.
No GG. Oh, good stuff.
Incredibly strange.
Okay. I think I know something now, but I can't talk about it. I have to talk about it later in the cast. I'm jumping ahead a couple steps about stuff that hasn't been announced.
Okay, we'll just relax.
Yeah. So we're going right into the next game. Okay, ER, and it will be Bizzy versus Kasio. Alright, game is up. Oh, and switch back to Splash. It's the opposite problem. So, Kasio versus Bizzy on circuit breakers. And yet another TVZ. I would put quite a hefty sum of money that this one will be longer than the last one.
I would imagine so. And I gotta say, I'm glad I'm seeing Bizzy play. For some reason, I always really enjoy watching his games. I can't really pinpoint why, but I don't know. I find them entertaining somehow.
I have not had the opportunity to watch a lot of Bizzy games, just because he hasn't participated in a lot of things I've casted. But the few I have, yeah, he definitely has that really entertaining style of aggressive Terran.
Yeah, I just find it really fascinating to watch, and he tries to bring out something a little bit different, and tries to kind of multitask his way into games, which is really, it is interesting, and I enjoy it, and it's a little bit ballsy. So in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have Bizzy coming in as the red Terran, and on the bottom left-hand corner coming in as the yellow Zerg, we have Kasio. Kasio, do I know anything about Kasio? Is this his full name?
Well, it's Kasio.
Is it Kasio Wichura?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, okay, I didn't know who he is. I suddenly had a bit of a brain mess and thought I didn't. Bizzy breaking out the mind games, claiming that he stands no possible chance in this match whatsoever. Kasio, not so sure. But either way, it looks like he's probably going to go for either a spawning pool. Oh no, he's going for a little lines. Okay, sweet. And meanwhile, we have no cheesy rubbish, no trying to recruit the other guy to your clan in the middle of a competitive match. AnkleBreak, if you're listening, just, shame on you. Throwing down the supply depot in standard fashion. And all the while, it looks like Kasio is going to be saving up for a hatchery. He would have got the spawning pool by now, surely. Yeah, it's got to be. Or not.
Yeah, he still could go for a 12 pool, but 12 pool versus Terran is pretty rare.
Yeah,
very
pretty unlikely.
Almost certainly going to be throwing down that hatchery. It actually should be sending a drone right about now He's going to have 300 minerals. Unless he's going to go for an in-base hatch, would be quite weird. But no, he's just going to be a little bit late with setting it down.
Yeah, I think we were overthinking it.
It was a small mistake, because he's going to be throwing it down when he has about 400, as opposed to when he has about 300, but not a bit of an error.
No, he'll get away with it just fine, I would imagine. And Bizzy will never be any the wiser, heading his SCV out in the wrong direction. Poor Bizzy, going to be a while before he gets any idea of what the Zerg's doing, but he should... having said that, no, it's probably going to be a little while before he gets the full scouts, so never mind, I was never going to say anything there. Barracks is nearly done now, so that drone is going to easily make its way into the base, and it's going to lay full scouts on the Terran before the Marine pops out. The hatchery is now about halfway done, the spawning pool on the way as well. Everything proceeding entirely as normal for both these players here.
Bizzy actually not sending his SCV in the absolute most efficient direction, sending it a little bit longer way, but by sending it that way he would see an Overlord in that direction. Gives him a position on the Overlord, lets him know where his opponent is ever so slightly faster than he would know otherwise. And that's the reason that the drone and the SCV did not originally pass. But Kasio's spawning pool has finished, and I actually have not been able to cast next to any of Kasio's games either, considering that he does not participate in Gambit Cup, but he's throwing down our third hatchery, so it looks like he will play a very standard style of TBZ.
Yeah, I can't say that I've been able to commentate a huge number of Kasio's games either, which is a little bit strange. But I've seen enough of Bizzy to know that I like the way he plays. A few Marines now heading out here as well, just making sure there's nothing at the edge of the ramp. Command center's well on the way as well. We should see a bunker laid down pretty soon to make sure he's absolutely safe from the lings, but taking his time about that a little bit. His SCV still milling around in the Zerg main, seeing everything that's going on, seeing the gas timing, seeing that third hatch timing as well. Looks like we can know what to expect pretty much from the Zerg so far. It's probably going to be the normal kind of shenanigans. So yeah, just wait and see how this plays out a little bit longer.
And Bizzy has gotten his gas and now throwing down the eBay, so he will be going for a strong +1 kind of attack. Typically involved with a strong +1 kind of attack is to get 4 or 5 Raxes and attack after Mutalisks come out, but before Lurkers can quite pop. It can be very strong, especially if the Zerg player does not make a whole mess of Lurkers. And on this map, there are not really super small chokes. These ramps are a little bit bigger than most maps, and certainly the natural chokes are some of the largest of modern map pools. So this attack might work a little bit better on this map than it would on others.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. Meanwhile, that SCV's still making his way around, but it's probably going to be shut down by these Zerglings now. But I really can't see Kasio getting any kind of decent scouting information here. He needs to be trying to sniff something out, but he's not managing to do so. So this might catch him a little bit off guard, especially given that it is slightly unusual time. Not hugely unusual, but just a little bit earlier than he would usually have thought. So Bizzy might actually be on to something pretty decent here. Interesting to see a third base already being laid down at the top left-hand position for Kasio, which is
that's a very early
quite unusual. Third. Yeah, and I wouldn't imagine this SCV is going to see it either. Even if he did go all the way to the top left-hand corner, he probably wouldn't go into the main. He'd probably be content with just going to the natural. Maybe. Well, I mean, it's a little bit different for TBZ, I suppose, but even so, this is slightly unexpected stuff.
Bizzy almost moved out with a pack of 8 infantry, and that would have done a lot of damage to Kasio, would have hit just as the hatchery finished, so it wouldn't have even had a chance to cancel, and Mutalisks would not have been out in time. But no, pulls them back instead. And Kasio not going for Mutalisks, has thrown down the Hydralisk Den, and Lurker upgrades on the way. So some kind of weird 4-hatch Lurker build. Getting those early Lurkers means that base will actually be completely safe, just because Terran does not have anything to deal with Lurkers on the ramp this early in the game. Interesting. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how +1 stacks up against a fast Lurker build.
Yeah. And this should be a pretty good comparison though, but it depends largely on Bizzy's micro, and it depends largely what he decides to do with it, whether he decides to continue trying to kind of force the issue and push on and do damage to the Zerg, or whether he decides to just kind of sit back for a little bit longer and build up something a little bit more suitable. Siege tanks and Silence Vessel would be the obvious composition which you need to achieve to really do good damage to a lurker-based defense. But it looks like he's going to move out on the map just a little bit now, which will be good because at the very least he might get some decent information about what the Zerg's doing, because by the time he gets there, I believe there will be lurkers already out. At the very least, there will be already lurkers morphing into the map.
At this point in the game, scans go off. He certainly should have seen the Hydralisk Den with one of those scans. But even if he didn't, it would be at this point in the game where Bizzy should be wondering where those first 9 Mutalisks are. So, going to move out now with a pretty scary Marine medic force, but at the same time, lurkers have already started. They're certainly going to finish before the infantry could reach either of these bases. And unless Bizzy has amazing Marine micro, I think that Kasio is going to be absolutely safe against this attack.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Bizzy does have good Marine micro, but it's not going to be this good. He's having to push across bridges, and yes, immediately he pulls back. He is going to still try and poke in. This is going to be a little bit interesting here, but I don't know, it would be a pretty magical feat to actually get any kind of decent surround on those lurkers. They are well positioned. They do have some colonies and Zerglings in support, and it should be just okay. Having said that, Bizzy does manage to get an SCV up into the top left-hand corner. He does sacrifice the SCV for the cause, but nonetheless, he does see that base. It doesn't look like he's too keen to get up there and try and do too much damage, seeing that there's already a lurker burrowed down at the top of the ramp. I guess he's just going to have to bide his time a little bit more, unable to do any real damage to the Zerg for the time being, which is unfortunate because this push could have had a really nice little bit of a timing.
Yeah, I like this interesting build from Kasio because he's going for early lurkers taking a little bit too much time to get up, and he's going to unburrow them immediately. Oh. I think Kasio made a mistake there. If he already had the lurkers burrowed there, he would have been able to do a lot more damage if he just kept them, because they were going to one-shot the Marines. His armor wasn't done yet.
Caught in 2 mines there quite badly. Didn't quite know what he was wanting to do with that, I think. It's like panic.
What I was trying to say was I really like the idea of Kasio's build. That he's going to get the fast lurkers, which defends the fast base, so he's not only going to have that fast lurker tech, but also manages to have a fast economy. Now, what he does sacrifice is Mutalisks, which is a huge part of TVZ, but I still like the idea that of what he's going for here, and Bizzy's going to have to react in a very special way to deal with the fact that he's going to be behind economically, and has to deal with such fast tech.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird situation.
As you said, science vessels and tanks are the obvious solution. How fast Bizzy can make them, his science facility is just finishing up, and already has a tank out, and ooh, Kasio making a little bit of a mistake there, losing a lot of those Zerglings for free.
Yeah, and Bizzy looks quite on the board with this. Those lurkers probably don't want to be moving forward. They're in a little bit of a vulnerable position there, unless those burrow down quite quickly, but Bizzy doesn't decide to dart in there very sensibly. He does decide to move his Marines back instead. He's still got a nice position there, just kind of keeping the Zerg blocked in as he heads up to the top left-hand corner to try and do some damage with a little bit of a task force. I don't think he's going to get out that ramp though. There are 2 lurkers in nice positions. He could lose all of his medics here, and this would really be a pretty bad situation. Oh no, all the medics going down, and this leaves his Marine force incredibly vulnerable right now. 1 or 2 stims, and they're just going to drop like flies to pretty much whatever the Zerg can throw at him, especially with lurkers in the mix as well. And I don't think he's going to be able to break that top left-hand corner. I think it's going to have to be science vessels, tanks, or maybe even dropships would provide an exciting avenue to help him back into the economical game.
I definitely think that dropships would have been a very fun, very interesting option, because you're right, Kasio's strong, but a lot of his strength is relying on static defense in the form of sunken colonies with lurkers behind him. If you're going to force the lurkers to uproot, you can possibly do a lot of damage very quickly with those Marines. But Kasio is continuing to make a larger and larger lurker force. He isn't losing any of them, so it's just continuing to gain steam. And Bizzy needs to bring some tanks along with his army. He does have a couple tanks now. Now, just be very, very careful he does not lose that science vessel. Losing that first science vessel with this specific build is going to be so huge.
Yeah, that would be absolutely critical. He needs that. The lurker is forced to pull back. He does manage to prevent the Zerg from getting that mineral early third base. He's probably going to head on to the left-hand side of the map. Oh no! Possibly walking Marines. A lot of danger. Just managing to keep his eye on them enough. He's going to leave 1 siege tank at the forefront of things. Oh no, just managing to pull that back and might just manage to save it. Doing a nice bit of a marine spread as well. Going to be able to take out all these lurkers. Doing a good job of micro against that. He might be able to take out these as well. Those lurkers having to pull back across the bridges. Nice little bit of presence of mind from Bizzy to keep absolute max number of units alive. And he's going to head on to that left-hand side base, and that base is going nowhere because, of course, there is literally no way Kasio can keep that base up at the moment. He's got no access to that. Bizzy's doing a nice job of keeping him in behind those bridges. Kasio is going to be feeling a little bit claustrophobic right now.
That would have been an amazing attack for Bizzy, but because he lost those medics, a lot of those Marines were injured, and when he should have lost only a handful of them, he ended up losing about 15. Meaning that, imagine this attack force with an extra control group of Marines, it would be a horrible position for Kasio to be in, but because he did manage to get those medics, it's going to pay dividends right now and keep him in this game. Still in a very sticky situation though. Siege mode's done, multiple science vessels, so even if one of them, no, not quite. Even if one of them had gone down, he would still have the other one. And Kasio, he does have defilers out though. He does have defilers, and defilers with lurkers, obviously a very strong composition. Needs to be very effective with them though. Make sure they don't get irradiated by the science vessels. One of them does have enough energy for irradiate. And here goes for the attack. Oh, hitting him at a great time where the units are on the other side of the bridge. Gonna be able to do some damage there, and manages to get a siege tank and some medics and marines. Nice. Unfortunately, splits up his scourge, so he gets one hit on each science vessel. Doesn't kill either. Looks like Bizzy's now going to try to take a fourth, clearing out that little marine force that had been constantly threatening to go up the ramp this entire time. And it's actually not even going to bother, not going to quite clean it up, as the lurkers were not in the engagement and the Zerglings died so quickly. Do the Zerglings have upgrades? Yeah, you do have one armor, but 1-1 for the Marines because of that fast eBay.
Yeah, I think that's quite important because he needs really every last thing he can get at the moment, because Bizzy is just getting closer and closer to his natural, losing quite a few Marines in that little engagement there, but Bizzy's doing a good job of staying active on the map, and especially in staying so close to the JeuXx base for so long. The Defiler does go down to one final siege tank hit. Those mines outside the bridge are going to cause some problems also. If a good Dark Swarm goes down, oh, big flame goes down all over the units. These units will probably be able to make it through though, but they are going to have to pull back, and they might not make it all the way home. Some reinforcements coming along the bottom of the map for our friend Bizzy, to just try and keep his force a little bit beefed up, because he's managed to maintain a great map position so far, and he won't want to be losing it now.
Yep, this is the normal. Oh, I was gonna say this is the normal follow-up, because typically after going for 5 racks, you have a lot of map control at a crucial point in the game that you can. Oh, I said crucial. you have a lot of map control at a particular moment in the game where you can go for a mech switch, and the mech switch is really strong. But Bizzy hasn't quite done that yet. He's still obviously only on 1 factory. And going for 1 factory can't... Oh, no, they're the other 2 factories. Okay. Yeah, he's definitely going to switch, eventually going to lift off those racks and float them out.
Yeah, I think Bizzy's doing a good job once again with his Marines outside here. But yeah, I'd expect to see a good mech switch pretty soon. Yes, and there we go. There go all the barracks lifting off to make room for the factories. So he's going to lay down a whole bunch of factories right now, because of course he's going to have that extra gas. He's going to have plenty of minerals coming in as well, given that he has a mineral only up as well. But finally it looks like the Zerg is going to be able to push out beyond his bridges. Maybe not, in fact, running some links out to try and take care of the mines, but not managing any such thing. And the right hand base is now up for Bizzy. He has I thought that was going to be an SCV. That's actually a Vulture at the top right hand corner. But laying down the gas as first point of order, just so he can try and get that big mech switch really swinging. I'm surprised he isn't deciding to have a little bit of a poke at the top left hand corner. And as I said that, he just decides to move out and have a little bit of a poke at the top left hand corner. Thank you very much, Bizzy.
Yeah, the key for going that mech switch is that because you're gonna be in a weird position, you need to have a lot of map control at that point in the game. And when Bizzy went for his switch, he could not have possibly had more map. Could not have possibly had more map control. So the mech switch is going to be pretty much as effective as it could possibly be in any situation. Now, you're going to lose some Hydralisks here as they are pursuing Vultures. But, yeah, Bizzy's keeping Kasio back. Kasio is unable to put any pressure on one of Bizzy's 4 bases at this point, as he has bases 3 and 4 constructed. And it's going to get to a point where there's just 4 bases that are completely untouchable, and then the mech comes out. It's just going to be a complete stranglehold on Kasio as he slowly watches life slip away from him as he slips into unconsciousness.
Yeah. To put it very dramatically, that could be exactly what's going to happen if he doesn't get some good position out quite soon. Those Hydralisks aren't going to last 2 seconds, doing a relatively good job of clearing out the mines, but not even doing a thoroughly convincing job of that. There's still a good few mines left hanging around here. Oh, one big lurker shot going off on all those Marines. But the Marines are continuing to make their way forward. Needs to be careful with the science vessels. Oh, kaboom! Down go 2 science vessels. Pretty cheaply there by Bizzy, but there's like 1 medic per Marine, so these Marines are going to be nigh on invincible against such small numbers of units as this, and he does a good job of regaining that high ground, and he's got incredible map presence. Look at all the red spread all over the place. It could almost be kind of 2 JeuXx here with the amount of vision he's got on the map, doing a very, very nice job. And Kasio holding at the bottom of that ramp there. If there are a couple of siege tanks here, then this would be very, very easy for Bizzy to push down, and that might be the case in just a minute as we see some siege tanks collecting outside his natural, presumably getting ready to push out fairly soon.
Yep, as you can see, 7 factories, only 2 machine shops. I assume he'll throw down a 3rd machine shop relatively soon. Wants a few more, typically want a few more siege tanks in these engagements, but the Marines and medics just by themselves are still doing a good amount of damage. Oh, losing a lot of them to these lurkers though, just refusing to micro, and will actually still be able to kill them all, but it will cost him most of his Marines. Now, yeah, there's just, I'm not sure what Kasio can do. Ooh, there's gonna be some big mine hits. Okay, could have been a lot worse than mine.
No, not quite.
But I'm not really sure what Kasio can do at this point. It's just, the mech is just gonna be so strong. You have to go so slowly moving across the map because of the mines and avoiding siege tanks. But you can't afford to be slow because your Terran opponent actually is going to have more bases than you very soon.
Yeah, I mean, Terran can pick up bases as he likes, because of course he's going to have a very strong defensive capability with so many siege tanks out on the field as well. And he's pretty much pushing entirely with siege tanks at this point. Surprised he doesn't have a few more vultures in the mix as well. I think he must have lost quite a few in that engagement just there.
So, yeah, what I'm really surprised by is the lack of defilers from Kasio. He got defilers at a normal time, was using them pretty effectively in the beginning, and then all of a sudden he just stopped making defilers for any of these engagements. I mean, sure, he hasn't had the big Zerg force. He's just been a bit piecemeal for a good part now, but he really should be incorporating more defilers into this army. The Zerg certainly stands no chance against mech without Swarm. With Swarm, there's at least something you can do. With burrowed lurkers and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, Swarm was just basically really good. I can't see why you wouldn't use it. Using a little bit of Swarm in that last engagement there. This just isn't enough siege tanks for Bizzy. I mean, he's leaving himself a little bit vulnerable here, and these siege tanks run the risk of being cleaned up, because on their own, they're not necessarily that hard to deal with for the Zerg player. Now reinforcing them with some vultures and whatnot, a few more siege tanks coming up from his natural as well. He's producing at a good rate. He's got plenty of factories on the go now, and at the top right hand corner he's going to start putting factories up as well. He's doing a good job of spending his minerals too, but at this time Kasio is moving out with what looks like a pretty hefty force of Hydralisks and Zerglings, and 1 defiler in the mix too. Going to mean these tanks are going to have to retreat all the way back across the map once again. At the top left hand corner, however, Bizzy's doing a nice job of trying to push into Kasio's natural base.
Yeah, I mean, Kasio's making a little bit of progress here, play going down on a couple tanks, but it's just he can only make as much progress until Bizzy reunites with more reinforcements, and then Kasio's going to lose a lot of Hydralisks to siege tank fire and be forced to retreat. And these Hydralisks aren't even terribly well upgraded as this natural base goes down, switching into some Mutalisk production, as he noticed that Bizzy did not have any Goliaths. It might be able to do something. Actually, that's a lot of Mutalisks. Okay, they're going to do some good damage, but Mutalisks are quite expensive in this game, and when you're not using your gas on defilers already, that's just a lot of gas to not be putting into defilers.
Yeah, that's one hell of a lot of gas, but they've done a good job. I mean, they've really helped him keep that base up. A little bit longer and that base would have gone down. There's one SCV still just relaxing. Probably going to get caught out by those Mutalisks any second now, however, unfortunately. But Kasio is actually doing quite nicely here all of a sudden. He's kind of pushing Bizzy back, retaining map control for himself. I mean, it's a little bit of a problem that there are so many bases up for Bizzy already. And just having a look, his forces aren't looking all that strong. He's at 2-1 rather, I should say, with the siege tanks. He needs to get those armories both spinning as well. But it comes down a bit to who's got the most initiative in this game now. Bizzy needs to keep trying to be a little bit aggressive because it's such a long defensive line to try and maintain. And Kasio needs to do the same and try and shut down the economy from the Terran player.
Yeah. Just consider how long Kasio has been on 5 bases at this point, with one of them being a mineral only. It's just been so it's been so long. He's finally trying to take an expansion down here, but this is possibly the worst expansion on the map to take, just because it's so easy for siege tanks to pop down, and it's so close to Bizzy's base. Well, these Mutalisks do have a good shot to do some damage. I still have not. They're the Goliaths out from Bizzy, but that Irradius can. Those Irradius can do a lot of damage. No. Terrible splitting out. A lot of those Mutalisks have gone down, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, the Mutalisks is finished. That's definitely that.
And I mean, the Goliaths, by going Mutalisk, Kasio has actually forced Bizzy to have a more well-rounded army, because before in a lot of these engagements he just had too many tanks, not enough units to keep stuff away from the tanks. And the Goliaths fill the role of vultures very, very well, especially against Zerg. So yeah. This is just going to be such a strong army, pushing right through the center here in that base that was just going to be so easy to take out. Going to be cancelled.
Yeah, with very, very good sense. This is a terrifying army. Just looking at it, I'm kind of taking stock a little bit and just thinking quite how many siege tanks that is in one place. That is going to be incredibly hard for the Zerg players to deal with without high damage units like Ultras that can take a lot of hits and a good amount of swarm into the bargain as well. He's going to have real trouble dealing with such a huge ball of death, complete with Goliaths, Vultures, and the all-important core of siege tanks to make life impossibly difficult.
When the Terran mech army spans across 3 or 4 screens, something's gone wrong. This is not the way you want to be playing StarCraft. And this army is, as you said, it's just too strong. There is no Zerg composition in the world that can deal with that.
I don't know if that was an attempt to surround the Terran army, which we just saw from Kasio, but either way, it was an abject failure. He lost pretty much everything that he had going for him. In the top right corner, we have a little bit of action. A few Hydras trying to push into that base, but that is not going anywhere. There are so many siege tanks, even just sat in defense, while this huge army is barreling its way across the map at a terrifying speed towards all of Kasio's stuff. We have one Ultralisk in the mix now, which is going to be able to take some damage, but honestly, there's just so much stuff up on that high ground for Bizzy, and once again, Kasio will be better off pulling back and just trying to do one big hit to this big scary Terran ball, because he's not getting anywhere with it at the moment.
I do believe that was an attempt at a flank, but trying to surround this mech army is quite similar to Estonia trying to surround Russia. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And finally Bizzy gets his upgrades rolling once again. That's taken him a very long time to do, and that could have been a bit of a downfall of his. But it seems like it hasn't mattered too badly. We have Kasio loading up some overlords. He's going to try and do some Zergling bombing, and this could actually be something good, which gets him a real foothold at getting rid of this massive ball of death that the Terran is rolling towards him. Some Mutalisks coming in now as well, and here is his chance to actually take care of this. There are some Lings dropping on top of the tanks, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. No, it just needed a few more Lings, and maybe he would have been able to properly bust that. Looks like it is just going to be enough, however, and he does clean up that big Terran ball of death, which was rolling towards him so unstoppably only a minute ago. Bizzy, however, has managed to get back his nice position on the map, and is probably going to be able to retain some pretty good control of pretty much everything from here on in, if he plays it out properly. Another pretty large chunk of units moving across the map again here.
Yeah. And in that attack, Kasio lost his mineral only, so back down to only 3 mining bases. Should be running pretty low. The top left main's getting pretty low. But yeah, Kasio's just not advancing his position, and Bizzy is continuing to make these defenses even stronger. Just look at how many siege tanks are defending these 2 bases with turrets and mines, and it's just daunting to look at.
Yeah, incredibly. There's red everywhere. Seriously alarming state of affairs. Bizzy kind of messing around in the top right corner a bit before heading on to the top left hand corner. I think this way he can really do some damage. We can see that the Zerg is incredibly thin on the ground up there. Interesting, irradiating a Hydra seems a little bit superfluous at this point. Nice little bit of a plague going down on a few siege tanks. Yeah, just going to soften them up. I'm surprised he's not using any of his units from the top right hand corner to do a little bit of a push. You could probably join quite nicely with that main force in the middle.
What I'm quite surprised about actually is Bizzy's upgrades. Just finishing up 3 and almost 3-2 now, but he's been on 2-1 and 1-1 for such a long time, considering how early he switched to mech. I do think that lack of upgrades is certainly helping Kasio to just not quite die yet.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I mean, it's just making Kasio's army that little bit more effective than it perhaps should be. I mean, I was very surprised that that big death ball actually managed to, that Kasio actually managed to kill it. Because realistically, if the upgrades were all up to par, that seriously wouldn't have happened. But once again, the siege tanks, Siege Japan, are going to take care of these Hydras very, very easily. A lot more Hydras coming in, but they're forced to pull back. There was no way they were going to be able to take those tanks on right there.
Yeah. Yeah, Bizzy, for whatever reason, he's just not capable of sealing out this game.
No, he's been kind of roving all over the place looking for gaps, but it's just not been forthcoming, has it?
Yeah, I'm at a loss as to I can't quite pinpoint what he's doing wrong, because he's not making glaring micro mistakes. It's not as if he doesn't have an economy, it's just that Kasio's doing just quite enough to not die. And I think that waiting so long to get 3-2 has been pretty much the biggest mistake that Bizzy's made, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that big of one. It's just weird how ahead he's been, yet how he hasn't been able to do so much damage to these bases. Should at least be able to take this one out, despite some very nice plagues going down.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, look at all those siege tanks. That's more than any Zerg can surely hope to deal with right now. He is probably going to be using the Zerg bomb technique once again, ferrying some drones out.
I hope so.
A nice little bit of a move to try and keep his economy alive a little bit longer. But wow, that is so many siege tanks. And I think the key to Bizzy's issue is he hasn't been quite cost effective enough with his mech army in the mid game. He's broken through eventually, but just maybe a little bit sloppy with his control here and there.
Oh man, not going to finish off the overload with all the drones in it. But here comes Bizzy for a little bit of a counterattack, trying to take out this mineral only, but I don't think he quite has enough stuff here, especially without the 5 support. No, reinforcements coming in. It's going to get cleaned up. Does manage to get a little bit of damage done to those SCVs, though, between the Ultralisk and the Siege Tank Splash, and attacking this middle base on the right side here. That base is, in fact, going to go down. So, yeah, Kasio, he's kicking. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he's still making the effort. I mean, that base has just been completely demolished. It was, of course, incredibly vulnerable because Bizzy's defense line is nowhere to be seen. It's out on the map. It's trying to do damage to the Zerg. But the left-hand side base for the Zerg, the exact mirror image of what we just saw happen to the Terran, is also going to be going down. As we can see, Kasio already pretty much taking that as a loss and ferrying drones out as much as he can. And Kasio is mined out as his natural. He's still got a good number of minerals or his mineral only, but that's probably pretty easily shut down for Bizzy here. No base at the top left natural, very few minerals at the top left main. He's looking short on cash right now, really seriously short on cash.
Yeah, and I feel it's worth saying, I really don't think that Kasio has bad GG timing here. I don't think that it's a situation where both players realize one player's won, and it's just Kasio being stubborn and not quitting. He's almost at that point, but it's to the point where his stubbornness isn't a detriment. His stubbornness is a positive quality, that he's consistently putting in this much effort to try to get back into the game, because he's doing a lot of good stuff to try to come back.
He's not just kind of clinging on and surviving somehow. He's actually, he's doing stuff. He's killed the Terran expansions. He's done damage. So yeah, it would have been harsh to say he was out of this already and just staying in too long. He's having a good whack at it, but I don't think his tiny little pile of minerals is going to keep him in this for much longer, because the Terran just has so many tanks. I mean, half his unit is across the bridge, and already they're pushing all the way in. Going to absolutely demolish that second colony. Bam, down it goes. And yeah, this is the last of Zerg's real useful mining bases here being taken out.
Yeah, well, meanwhile, Kasio does take out another Terran expansion, which is nice. Been realizing that Bizzy still kept a lot of siege tanks here, so there's no way to attack either of those two. But this time the siege tanks do appear that they are going to go up the ramp and take care of this third, leaving Kasio with a single mining base that's a mineral only, and then this unpopulated base that could certainly be taken out as soon as Bizzy realizes it's there. And still doing attacks. Still doing attacks on the bottom side, stopping that command center, and possibly, no, he's not going to be able to take out this mineral only to make siege tanks.
No, even if he did, he is now finished.
Yeah.
There's no way back into this for him. The Terran has enough standing army to kill him, even if he just had kind of one assimilator left hidden in the corner of the map. So JeuXx is pretty much out for the count at this stage. And now it's only a question of how long before he realizes this. I think he's probably aware of the situation already, but he wants kind of one last crack, which is fair enough to him. He has a couple of defilers with decent energy, so he might be able to do a bit of damage as he goes out with a bang to this big Terran death ball of siege tanks, which is still moving around and still looking seriously worrying.
Yep. Well, here comes the attack. The tanks are not sieged up. Very nice plague, but not enough units to capitalize on the fact that these tanks are unsieged and plague. The units are still going to go down. I believe there's just a single lurker underneath that cannot be hit. Okay,
it seems that Kasio actually felt that this was the time to pause the game rather than, which is all very well and good. But yeah, once again we see Bizzy just losing a few more units than was possibly necessary. Kasio is still sending in more Zerglings. He's really actually be able to take out
a lot of these,
which is actually really funny because this just shouldn't have happened, and this is representative of the way this game has gone. Somehow, Kasio on one mining base has taken out that Terran push. And I don't know how or why, but I'm a bit speechless though. This is why this game hasn't ended. This is why Kasio's been in it all along, because crazy stuff can happen.
Yeah. Now he only has a third of the supply as opposed to a quarter of the supply, but vultures coming in and raiding all the drones. 2 sunken colonies are not enough to stop that many vultures, and Kasio will lose every drone at this base. He had to cancel the hatchery at the 6 o'clock, meaning he has a single mining base with only one guy actually mining minerals at it. Nah, I said before it was like reasonable for him to continue. Now we're at the point where we're just having kind of bad GG.
It's done now. This game is definitely going to be over. It's still ferrying drones up to the top base. If nothing else, however, this game makes me very interested to see more of him in the next couple of matches, because he's played well. He's put up a good show. Bizzy has also notably played very well. He looked a lot stronger in the early/mid game than he has in the late game. I mean, he's always been on top, but it's taken him a long time to actually close this out. Considering he's been spending most of the game trying to do exactly that. It's been a bit laborious for him.
Yep. I am actually, at this point, kind of rooting for a Kasio versus Bizzy rematch at the end, because I think these two players are very close in skill, and I definitely think that with a couple of very small breaks, this game could look completely different in Kasio's favor, as opposed to how it looks now. Yeah,
no, it definitely could. I think Bizzy will be kind of happy with the way this has gone, but I think he'll want to clean it up a little bit if they have to face off again. Of course, having said that, Bizzy could go straight on to take this down anyway, and it looks like we are going to see Kasio in the losers match, still trying to do some weird ferrying stuff, do some very strange drone/hydralisk/whatever bombing onto those tanks, but really it's not enough to do any kind of damage. Finally, GG from Kasio. He knows he's staying in a bit too long there. And Bizzy takes it down. We'll go on to the winners match.
Yeah, you kind of know that the player took too long when it's a KGG.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, there is plenty more games coming up. Please don't go anywhere in between matches. I know there's a strong capability to do that. If anyone's unsure of what's happening, go over to altitudeisl.net, where you can see all the statistics, all the players, and all the information you need to stay thoroughly up to date. And I believe we're going to be going on straight to the next game here.
Yes, we are. Next game will be the winners match, Kolll versus Bizzy. So it's going to be yet another TVZ, but instead of going with a particularly lurker-heavy opening, as we saw from Kasio, Koll's going to go complete opposite and almost certainly go 2-hatch Mutalisk, because that's Koll's thing.
Most likely.
It's like, it might as well change his name to 2-hatch Mutalisk. THM, like 2HM. That's a reasonable name.
Oh, that would be alright.
Are you unable
to
join the game?
To pronounce. Yeah, I'm trying. 1 second.
Alright.
Sorry, I reconnected twice, so he kept being a bit weird.
Okay. Good.
Okay,
Just want to make sure I
down.
didn't host it improperly.
No, it's fine. You got it. Technique is good.
So, yeah. We'll have to see how, if he goes for the same kind of +1 build, we'll have to see exactly how that works against 2-Hatch Mutalisk. +1 delays your Academy upgrades even more, and 2-Hatch Mutalisk thrives on hitting in that timing. So it can be a little bit dangerous. We have an observer. Awesome. Would you call it the names, please?
Yes, I absolutely will. Not playing in this game, we have Bakuryu spawning in as random green Terran. Playing in this game, at the top of the map, we have ISL3 Kolll spawning in as the teal Zerg. And in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning in as the orange Terran, we have Bizzy. And this is going to be an interesting game. These are two players whom I respect pretty highly. I know they're both pretty highly skilled. Kolll, always great. I never quite feel like I've seen enough of him. In the last ISL, I would have wanted to see a bit more of him than I did. I feel he could have represented himself a little better. So let's see if he can bring out the good stuff here in a good ZVT.
Yep. Oh, and there goes Bakuryu.
Oh, Bakuryu not in the mood. I guess he's just hosting for them.
Alright.
He's nice like that.
Alright. So, yeah. I definitely think we'll see a strong showing from Kolll. Kolll, one of the strongest.
Full screen!
I did it.
Oh,
I had done it a while ago. You were just looking at laggy chat.
Oh.
But, yes.
Stressful. Stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. Kolll definitely one of the strongest players in ISL. I mean, there's a bunch of strong players, but Kolll up there with the best of them, with his particularly aggressive style. And Aztec is a pretty good map for Mutalisks. The cliff's in a pretty good configuration, and the low ground tends to help a little bit. Now game's telling me full screen, really delayed, and that's Skype. I guess the stream is like 10 seconds. I have it changed back, and I can see it's changed, but I guess
I see.
I guess like the stream is like 10 seconds or so ahead. Or behind.
No, it's whatever. That's why whenever I finish streaming, I have a little bit of an overlay I click onto so that it doesn't cut off the last bit of my cast when I press stop broadcasting. So I can just leave it running for an extra minute or so I know that the cast got all the way to the end without me. It's a bit weird. The theory of casting, ladies and gentlemen. So we do have an SCV heading up to the top base, and he's going to scout out the Zerg. Kind of going in and then going away again. A little bit strange. But once again, heading back, I'm not quite sure what the thinking was behind that, but the hatchery has indeed gone down, and we have a few Zerglings in on the way as well, so that SCV will be lucky if it lives much longer at all. Those Zerglings rather might be able to catch it on the ramp. A little bit of a funny error there. SCV and Zerglings decided to live in peace for just a second. What a world that would have been. But all the while, Bizzy looks like he's making ready to lay down a bunker at his natural. That is most likely going to be up before those Zerglings arrive at his base, and especially much since the Zerglings are actually scouting in the wrong direction. So yeah, that's definitely going to be nice and safe for our Terran player here as he prepares to make his expansion.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of an overreaction for Bizzy. I mean, it wasn't a 9 pool; it was just a 12 pool. So I think he would have had time, but without pulling all those SCVs. But still, I'm going to actually keep him there just to make sure that there's not a run by into the main, that they don't just bypass the bunker. And that might be necessary. Kolll, now realizing the direction he's supposed to send his lings, has 6 heading that direction plus 2. Yeah, it looks like 8 total.
Yeah, 2 extra.
And expansion behind that. I don't think they'll be able to do very much though. Bunker with 2 Marines in it and a couple of SCVs on the ramp can be pretty hard to break through. Yeah, well, almost impossible to break through with this number of Zerglings in order for him to be able to do anything useful on the other side. But having said that, it looks like he might... no, just darting around, looking for any kind of scouting SCVs heading on the way out. That bunker, he's just kind of testing the range to see quite how far he can push it with those Zerglings. That bunker now with an extra Marine in it, those Zerglings are definitely not going to be able to do any kind of run by action. Kolll is... yeah, there goes the lair. It looks like he's definitely gearing up to do his standard kind of Mutalisk thing, which is all very cool. I like seeing that kind of thing. And of course we missed out on that kind of action last game, so it would be incomplete without Mutalisks happening this time. Yep. And actually Bizzy's changing up his style a little bit. He threw down the barracks before the refinery. So it's looking like a more traditional JeuXx Academy style. which is, I always love to see that from players when they switch up their builds based. I don't know whether he's changing it because he doesn't like it for this map or because he doesn't like it for this player, but in either case, I still think it's nice.
Yeah.
Better than the player who does the same thing every single game, regardless of opponent.
But keeps him guessing a little bit.
But Spire has been thrown down. And yeah, we're going to see exactly how well Bizzy can micro against it. We pretty much know how good Kolll can micro it. He is very consistent with his mutant micro and has had years of experience doing this build. And
that's what made him big in the first place, isn't it? That's what people know him for from the very beginning.
I just said about how I don't like it when players do the same thing over and over again. But it's actually pretty cool that Kolll can do the same thing over and over again and nobody can stop him.
Yeah, it's cool.
So,
although I'm wondering if we'd see something a little bit different from him in later stages of the tournament, if he is to go through it. I'm wondering if we would see, perhaps he try and mix it up a bit, maybe keep his opponents on their toes just a little. Running a few Zerglings in here, just have a look. Might be able to catch an SCV, but no, just checking for the for whatever. I don't quite know what he's looking for there with those.
Please, ZVT in the later stages of a tournament. Don't make me laugh.
Yeah, but imagine.
Anyway.
Your brain can't comprehend it.
Koll's actually taken a relatively fast third, which is interesting and not what he typically does. If he gets a third, it's much later. So he's not going to be putting too much of a commitment into these Mutalisks.
No.
It's certainly not good. Actually, well, I say that, and yet he's starting +1, and +1 attack is usually a good indication that, yeah, I am going borderline all in with my Mutalisks. So these are mixed signals coming from Kolll here. If fast expansion means that he's not committing, yet +1 means that he is. It's gonna be it's gonna be really interesting to see exactly how he plays this.
And doing a little bit of a dart in, trying to catch that missile turret, that's what he was going for a little bit earlier. But unfortunately, he is unable to do so, and the missile turret will survive, which means that these Mutas are going to be slightly less effective than they would be if there were no missile turrets in the natural, which would make them, of course, super effective, although there is a decent number of Marines out already. Those Marines catching themselves in quite an interesting position. They're not very well positioned to defend the main at all, nor the natural. And these Mutas might even be able to take out that single missile turret before the second one gets up. Kolll, slightly caught in two minds, takes a few unnecessary hits to his Mutalisks. He does fortunately see exactly what's happening. He does see these Marines pushing out, but oh my god, so many hits taken unnecessarily to Mutalisks. He needs to be much more careful than that. These Mutalisks are critical. This is all he's got at this point, and he needs to make them work.
Yeah, a slip up like that, leaving those Mutalisks in that position for literally 0.8 of a second more is the difference between winning and losing a game. Oh! Flying them over the Marines again. That's two pretty big mistakes from Kolll. He's able to recover. He doesn't actually lose any of the Mutalisks, but you have to consider how damaged these Mutalisks are, because there will be a point later in the game where he'll go in for harassment and all of a sudden 3 will burst at once. And it's not because that particular engagement was bad. It was because of this. Because all these Mutalisks are getting injured. Again, getting hits on that one as it flies in to reinforce.
And his Mutant Spiker is just a little bit off, going in for another hit and doesn't manage to land the hit. It's about getting that exact apex of the Mutalisk's trajectory just right so he can land that big hit on all those Marines. Unable to do just that. He's had to pull 1 or 2 of his Mutalisks back so far to try and get a little bit of extra health on them. Unable to do any real harass. Unable to do any real damage to these Marines. And his Mutant Spiker is running into a little bit of rough ground here. He's having a little bit of trouble.
So uncharacteristic for Kolll.
An Overlord going down too.
Losing an Overlord. But consider, losing a Mutalisk. Consider, he hasn't even killed an SCV yet. He's killed maybe 1 Marine so far. He's done absolutely no damage in a build where if you don't do damage, you are universally behind. Okay, now we're going to get the Zerglings in, going to get us surrounded, kill off a lot of these Marines. Okay, we're going to do some damage here.
Finally.
First thing that's gone right for Kolll, but he's actually used a lot of, wait, what? How?
Look at his back.
Yeah, I was just stunned by that. How are you a 1k at this point in the game? Kolll.
I have no idea. It looks like he's going for a bit of a bust. This might not be the best idea. Those Lings aren't going to be able to take out any missile turrets at all unless he gets a better position. So many useless going down as well. Kolll, what are you thinking trying to do a bust at this stage? There are a good number of Marines in there as well to help defend. And that is scary stuff. I mean, Kolll having a bit of trouble with his decision making. Bizzy has made a bajillion million missile turrets in his main. There's no way a single Mutalisk is getting through there. But yeah, I don't know quite what's happening to Kolll this game. He's floating a lot of minerals all the way through. He's still got 1k gas in the bank, 600 minerals in the bank. He looked to be a little bit supply blocked at one point as well. And he's still just making useless. He's not building up much at all. He's making a Queen's Nest now finally, so he might be going some kind of Guardian thing, maybe?
Kolll does like his Guardians. You know, for a player lauded for his consistency and a player lauded for his micro, Kolll has shown neither of these this game.
No.
And
oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, I don't think you quite realize exactly how many turrets were in there. He's still going to go in? Really? I mean, he even got the +1, so Kolll has a mental thing at this point where he's thinking, I need to do damage. I absolutely need to. But he's never going to be cost-effective engagements with these Mutalisks. There's just too much stuff from Bizzy. And
yeah.
I like the decision to go Guardians just because you need to make something happen.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I mean, going in and taking out these missile turrets is pretty much the last thing he should be doing right now. Nice job there managing to take out that missile turret, which means he does get a pretty nice angle to take out that control tower. It doesn't quite match. Oh, but it burns down anyway. Super cool there. And a scan being laid down to ensure that Bizzy can keep having a go at those missiles. But if he was able to take down that science facility, that would be a pretty big deal. Irradiate's going to be massive once it comes in against all of these missiles. If he can take that down, then that's going to be a real problem for Bizzy. It looks like it's going to go down, and there's going to be no Irradiate for quite some time. Very good job there, and he should probably pull these missiles out. Doing a great job now. This is some more of that good micro we would expect to see from Kolll, building up a nice number of units outside the Terran Natural as well. Doing a really good job in the back with the Mutalisks at long last.
Kolll floating 900 gas at this point, but I don't think that the 900 gas is a mistake. I really think that he's just banking that much gas so that he can instantly make a huge pack of Guardians. So don't look too much into that number at the moment. But now Koll's starting to get a little bit of micro. He's starting to figure out that there's some vulnerable buildings around the perimeter. And yeah, he's going to, he stopped that Irradiate, and stopping that Irradiate was so huge. And as long as that Starport is lifted, he won't be able to make Wraiths. And without Wraiths and Irradiate, it's just going to make these Guardians really effective. And that's what Kolll needs to be playing for, making it the best possible situation for his Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing an incredible job right now of keeping the Terran low on pretty much everything that Terran wants to have. He's keeping the Marines low, he's even keeping the buildings low. So after a really shaky opening, he's doing a really good job forcing that starport, as you already mentioned. Very important aspect, and he's building up an incredible number of Mutalisks outside the natural. Have you even looked at this? He's got like 3 control groups of Mutalisks right now.
There are a whole mess of Mutalisks, and I guess
that's mind-blowing.
And I guess we did learn the answer to the question. Was he going more all in or more conservative? He's certainly going all in with the Mutalisks. All in with Mutalisk Guardian as the Greater Spire has started.
Oh! Irradiate could be taken down again. He's getting loads of hits on that science facility, and it's on very low health. Bizzy is defending this absolutely as much as possible. Nice scan though, allowing Mutalisks. No. 4 Mutalisks going down very easily there for Bizzy. Nice scan. Really be able to catch those Mutalisks off guard. But these Mutalisks might be able to get a great position on the Marines below the cliff as the scan goes in a little bit late for Bizzy. Finally gets one in, and Kolll is just dead set on trying to get rid of that science facility for a second time. I don't think he'll be able to do so, however. It looks like it is going to get Irradiate done and dusted this time. But he might be able to catch that science vessel. Oh no, he's going to use so many missiles. Oh no, so many Mutalisks going down. That's at least 8 Mutalisks going down in one for the sake of 1 science vessel. That cannot have been worth it.
You would think not, but on the other hand, oh wow, Bizzy actually scanned the Greater Spire, already starting the Wraith preemptively, and that's really going to hurt. Kolll needed the surprise, and that's why he sacrificed so much to kill the science vessel, so that there would be no anti-Guardian measures that Bizzy had, and it was worth sacrificing that many Mutalisks. Well, not quite that many Mutalisks, but worth sacrificing a good number for. But now, Bizzy's already scanned it, he's getting the Wraith out, and that Wraith is going to make it near impossible for Kolll. And
yeah,
now,
that's going to make it incredibly difficult for Kolll. Losing a fair number of Mutalisks, losing a lot of his Zergling as well, but taking care of a good chunk of the Terran's force and still harassing in and out. But it's so on the edge right now whether he's been cost effective enough. The Terran is doing his best to get out beyond his ramp. Nice position though from Kolll though at the top of the ramp. Loses only 1 Mutalisk in that entire engagement. Great job of taking down the final threat of that Terran push, and Kolll is looking good, having lost a couple of overlords, though he is of course supply blocked, so he really needs to get a couple more overlords into play. I'm not sure if he's still hatching any Muthus. He's not at the moment because he doesn't have any supply actually to work with. Some scans going down, so Bizzy is 100% clued up as to what's happening. Another overlord floating. Kolll needs to be a bit careful with his rally points, trying to do the escaping action with that guy as well. Should be able to take out all these medics just chilling on the ramp here as well. So yeah, I'm incredibly curious to see whether Kolll has quite made this pay off or not. This is a very weird juncture to be at.
Kolll still has a good amount of money. I think he wanted more Guardians than the 6, I believe, that he did originally. He's going to keep some of these Mutalisks simply to fight off the Wraith, and now even a Valkyrie. But
Valkyrie could be a good move, but he looks like he's going to lose the Valkyrie pretty quickly. And yeah, the Valkyrie is definitely going to go down. Those Mutalisks are going to take care of that quite easily. And all these Guardians coming into the natural now are looking very scary. And I don't know quite if Bizzy's got anything to deal with this. And this is incredibly surprising stuff from Kolll. All along this game I've been questioning, will it work? Has he got the wherewithal to actually make this happen? It looks like, yes, he probably has. The Wraith darting in and out, managing to do some good damage to one of the Guardians. One of the Guardians almost going down. But will Cloak come in time as well? That's another very important aspect. The control tower is being repaired absolutely ASAP. And this is edgy stuff. Both players microing absolutely as hard as they possibly can. Trying to keep their equal hopes in this game alive. The Wraiths are starting to go down. Will the Muses be able to take care of those? The Guardians are starting to fall as well. A lot of hits coming in from the Marines. And the Wraiths do survive. Muses all taken out. And that's it for the first batch of Guardians.
A couple Mutalisks will come in at the very last moment, and they will be enough to save the remaining Guardians, but there's only 2 left, and because of all this, Cloak won't finish! Cloak won't finish because he's targeting the starport, not the control tower, and the starport goes down! Cloak is cancelled! Apparently Cloak cancels when you kill off the starport for the control tower. Learn something new about Brood War every day. And the Guardians will be cleaned up, but these Wraiths will not have Cloak, so the Mutalisks are going to come back in. And Bizzy's throwing away a lot of Marines and taking out the Guardians. So, oh man, and more Guardians coming in. I don't even know.
This is incredible stuff. Kolll has not morphed. He hasn't made a drone for 10 minutes or so. And that's crazy. There are now a good number of Marines pushing out, and they could actually manage to catch these Guardians as they morph in. This was a bad position for Kolll to morph them. There is only one Mutalist left to defend. He needs to just chuck these Mutalists and now
Guardians are not
alive. Oh no, Kolll, what a terrible position to morph in. And he's going to have to try and take care of these Marines, but throwing away so many Guardians just for that little mistake right there. And Bizzy gets a nice windfall against increasingly terrifying Kolll.
Guardians are not like lurkers. They do not have 10 health when they're, 10 armor when they're in the egg. So the Marines are able to do a lot of damage to them before they can hatch. And now these Wraiths are going to come in. There's not a lot of Mutalisk here to defend. He's still stopping Cloak, though, preventing that from going down. But now, Bizzy's actually getting close to mining out. That's another thing to consider. And oh. Look at that! Kolll GG's, and if you can see on the mini-map, Bizzy scanned 3 times immediately! Bizzy just went, what the hell, and scanned because he's trying to figure out what position Kolll was in. Wow!
I don't know what to think anymore.
A fabulous game. Kolll went from the precipice of losing before Hive finished to in a dominating position. It looked like he was going to be able to just crush Bizzy with 8 moving Guardians. And then
but
GG.
Why didn't he?
He came in at an angle. You know what? I don't even want to move on to the next game. I want to break this shit down. He came in at an angle where he didn't come in from the cliff. Because that's where you normally come in with the Guardians. When you have less Guardians, you come in from the top, you attack down, and you have the cliff to protect you against lots of Marines. Kolll did not do that. He came in from the side where the Marines could easily stem forward, and that's what ultimately did him in. The question is, why did he decide to do that?
Yeah, and also, why no Scourge? That's quite an interesting point as well. When he could have had Scourge to deal with those Wraiths, he didn't produce a single Scourge all game.
That is another thing. I'm surprised by no Scourge. I wonder if he had the Guardians over there in the open, was that to prevent a couple of Marines from sneaking out? Because 6 stemmed Marines moving across the map could have done a lot of damage to Koll's bases. Kolll had no defense at all behind
that's very possible.
So
but
that might have been the
like
reason
abject
for it.
Panic. Oh, I don't know, man.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
You know what? In a game that was so close, the little bit of mismarkers he had in the beginning of the game that meant that he couldn't get any SCV kills.
Yeah.
If Bizzy had just a slightly less economy, he might not have been able to hold off those Guardians.
No.
It was so close either way. Brilliant. Brilliant game from both players, and I'm stealing that from you, because you're the one who says brilliant, but brilliant game from both players.
Yeah, absolutely great game. And I still think Kolll could have been in it. That's the sad thing. I still think maybe he had a chance in there. But either way, we'll go on to the next game. And Bizzy looking good, going through 2-0 here in his group.
Alright. One second. I need to type. So, as you can see on the splash, we're going to go from a insanely hype game to anti-hype, as there is a walkover.
Yeah, sorry guys.
AnkleBreak, I'm not sure what the walkover is. My suspicion was at the end of the AnkleBreak game, did he possibly get disqualified because he didn't GG?
Do we have a GG? He was talking like crazy.
I'm not sure. AWA specifically did not tell me so that he would not spoil me on results.
Okay.
But...
well, either way, it's a walkover. I can't say that AnkleBreak would have been one of the most anticipated players of the tournament, but I don't know.
I said before, man, you need one guy like that. You need one guy who's going to cheese every game. I kind of rooting for AnkleBreak to get through, but unfortunately, no. Apparently, there's a walkover. So, Kolll versus Kasio for the final match. Two very talented players. Playing two in very diametrically opposed, yet still pretty close games versus Bizzy.
Yeah.
And let's go into it. Final game of the day.
Well, crazy stuff, man. Whatever happens in this last game, we have got an absolute crazy match right there in that last game. I mean, that was, that was totally worth it. That was good stuff. That was pure brutal madness.
And the one thing I'm gonna say, Kolll did not make Devours, and that's a theme in Kolll games where he gets Guardians for whatever reason, misclick or not. He tends to get some Devours.
Yeah.
Would Devours have worked versus Cloaked Wraiths? I don't know.
It's possible. Devours are super tough, man. They take a lot of killing.
And the Devour splash effect uncloaks units.
Yes.
That would have been pretty sick.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good. Either way, let's do this. Let's do the next game.
Alright. Final game, Kolll versus Kasio on Heartbreak Ridge.
Alright, let us do this. On the left-hand side, spawning in as the brown Zerg, we have Kasio. And on the right-hand side, spawning in as the blue Zerg, we have Kolll. Now, this, of course, being a ZPZ means it is incredibly on the edge. So this could go either way. It could be Kolll, it could be Kasio. What would you like to see most from this game, Hacklebeast?
I'm torn because, as we said at the end of the game versus Kasio versus Bizzy, I want to see Kasio play more because it was really entertaining to watch that style, and there were some really good things in his play. On the other hand, I don't want Kolll to be eliminated this early. Koll's amazing. I want to see more games from him. So it's going to be hard for me either way because I do want both players to advance, but only one can. As for the game itself, I don't know. Koll's been part of some Hive games. Just gonna sprinkle that out there. Koll's been part of some Hive games.
Well, you never quite know what you're going to see in a ZVZ anyway. But either way, we'll see how this game opens up. As per always, relying on your expertise regarding builds and pretty much everything ZVZ related. And it looks like we have a drone heading out quite early from Kasio.
Yeah. It went down I think it went down a little bit farther than it naturally does, but Silken Scout out. Overlord sees it. It's just going to get there just to make sure that there's not a lot of early lings, and I believe that means that Kasio is looking to go for a 12 hatch, because he's going to get there with the drone scout early. If he had saw the early pool, he could throw down a slightly late 12 pool, but one that would still be in time. But he's going to see Kolll going for a 12 hatch, so he will know it's safe to 12 hatch himself, although it will be slightly later than Kolll. It's actually going to be a 13 hatch, technically, as he starts the next drone. So, Kasio didn't want to lose to a 9 pool, and he is going to sacrifice a little bit of economy just in the drone scout that had to go all the way across the map and back, which is it's significant in ZVZ, plus the delayed hatchery compared to Koll's. And Kolll played a little bit riskier, did not go for the drone scout on a 2-player map, and he's not going to be punished for it. Kolll has a very slight advantage.
Yeah, he has the earlier gas as well. Much earlier gas, in fact. He's had the gas for a little while now, whereas Kasio hasn't even started his yet, so that could come into play. The spawning pool's slightly quicker as well, so it looks like Kolll just slightly ahead in terms of tech and whatnot, slightly behind on supply count at this point, but their natural's going to finish at roughly the same time. Koll's slightly ahead on expansion timing as well. So Kasio just basically living off that 1 or 2 extra drones for the time being. Now his gas does go down, so that's not going to be too much of an issue. But he's going to be put slightly on the back foot in the later game. Possibly going to have to make a couple of Scourge first.
Yeah, I think the distance between these two bases is going to be just enough that if Kasio had wanted, you know what? No, that extractor is fast enough that Kolll is definitely going to be able to get a lair first if he wants to. And in fact starts spawning pool and lair simultaneously, because he had enough gas for both of those upgrades.
Yeah.
It's alright. Yeah, as you said, Kasio is just a little bit behind in everything, in part because of that scout, in part because he made an extra drone earlier to delay that gas from going down. And weirdly, he made a drone, and by making a drone, it actually hurts his economy, because ZVZ makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, it's
you really think about it.
Incredibly backward, weird matchup. But we'll see how much effect it has. Of course, it's easy to think, it's not too much of a big deal. But of course, these things really matter in Zerg. That Sun Colony is going to be up just in time to catch these Zerglings, so they won't make too much damage. And Kasio will be safe, at least for the time being, barring anything absolutely incredible from Kolll. But we do have some more Lings coming in here, so it looks like he might try and pile on the pressure just a little bit more. And it's important to make good use of those, because of course that is costing him in drones, the all-important third resource that you have for Zerg. And it looks like he's going to try a little bit of a run by, and it might be successful. As speed kicks in, he gets quite a lot of Zerglings into the main base. That is quite a serious issue. If he gets any drones at all, then this is going to start looking very, very good for him. He might manage to get 1 drone, might manage to get 2 drones right here. 2 drones go down. Nice job from Kolll already. And this is looking quite worrying for Kasio. He needs to clean these Zerglings out quickly and efficiently to make sure they don't do too much damage. This is already setting back just a little bit.
And because of the late gas, Kasio skipping speed altogether, he hasn't even started it, making cleaning up Lings even harder. And yes, the few kills that they have got already doing horrible damage. And if they snipe the spot, no. We're getting very close to sniping the Spire.
Yeah, that Spire's going to be very hard to snipe out, because the Spire is a perfect SimCity tool. That will be perfectly blocked on all sides, so that's really very, very unexposed to the blue Zerglings. So that shouldn't be too much of a danger. But all the while, this is proving to be a little bit of a distraction for Kasio. It's forcing him to make extra Lings that he didn't want to make behind even that extra sunken colony that he's got. And Kolll is still morphing more Zerglings, so I'm wondering if we're going to see another run by coming in as well. We also have a Spire about halfway done, so the Spires are actually precisely level for these two players, maybe very slightly ahead for Kolll as he continues to run those Lings around and be really annoying in the main base of Kasio.
Yeah, it's going with more Zerglings at this point seems like a very viable option. Kolll saw that Kasio is not making a lot, and he still sees no speed. He doesn't know that no speed is being researched even, but he's going to abuse that as here come the Zerglings. Oh, there's a hatchery being placed in, and that's going to help with the SimCity, actually. It's going to help a lot. I like that. Sun Colony do a lot of damage, but all the Zerglings are going down. More reinforcements coming from Kasio, but it's going to be enough. Oh, losing a couple drones, though. Kolll makes something out of it, but on the net, losing a horrible, horrible number of Zerglings. Meanwhile, there's 2 Zerglings in the base, have an opportunity to do more damage. They already got 1, getting a second one.
They got 3 there in total, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been an eye on that. And all the while, Kolll has his news list on the way. We have 29 supply to 24 of Kasio. So Kolll looking in a decent position now, especially considering that none of Koll's supply is currently tied up in Zerglings, whereas Kasio does have a fair few Zerglings out on the map as well. So Koll's going to be hatching a superior number of news lists out any second now. As Kasio is about to hatch 3, but a whole bunch of Scourge coming in. This means Kolll has to be right on the ball with some intense Muta Micro here going into the mid game.
Kolll needs to be very careful in two ways. First, as you said, he needs to not lose his Mutalisk to Scourge. Second, though, having no Zerglings in this matchup can be really risky, because it's going to be so easy for Kasio to use the 5 that he has just to slip in when Koll's Mutalisks are at the other base. He needs to be really careful to not allow that to happen. Normally you have some Zerglings left over, so it's not as much of a threat. But in this situation, Kolll needs to be absolutely on top of both of those two very scary threats on complete opposite sides of the map as the Mutalisks come in now.
Yeah, that extra hatchery has already been resoundingly important in keeping the SimCity going. We do get a drone snipe, we do get double drone snipe from Kolll. Nice bit of meter micro from him, and he gets another one as well. But will he be able to stay alive versus these Scourge? Oh no, take a whole lot of Scourge hits. That's a bit bad for Kolll. He needs micro a little bit more smartly than that. He might still have the Mutalisk advantage, and he is still going to be able to do some damage to the Mutalisk of Kasio, and it might be enough of an advantage at this point to be able to carry him through just a little bit. Will he be able to micro versus these Scourge? Doing a nice enough job. His Mutalisk just darting around the back of the mineral line, and Kasio is in a whole world of trouble, but Kolll does need to micro very, very well. Oh, he takes a few more Scourge hits, more Mutalisk going down. This is scary, scary stuff. Doing a nice bit of micro now, and it looks like he does come out ahead after that engagement, which is really, really very, very intense stuff. ZVZ can go either way in an absolute split second, and I thought Kolll was in some serious trouble there after those bad Scourge hits.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a mistake from Kolll there to lose that many, to take that many hits. Now, notice the difference between these two players at the moment is Kasio with a little bit worse of an economy because he got hit by the drones, but he does have that extra hatchery. On the other hand, Kolll has +1 armor almost finished, and that's going to make the small Mutalisk advantage he has near insurmountable. It makes the Mutalisk so much better than his opponents.
Oh, that's good.
But he is supply blocked. He lost an Overlord, and here comes the Scourge coming in, but no Mutalisk to support means that Kolll has the easiest micro he could possibly have in this situation. Still going to take a hit.
Nice.
This is textbook stuff. Kolll should not be taking any hits at all, but he does take one. Oh, it's still not going to be enough for Kasio, though. He still has severe disadvantage. He's going to need a lot more Scourge hits, and Scourge... Oh, Kasio not dodging at all. He does manage to get a couple of Scourge hits, but not as many as he took, and now he has significantly fewer Mutalisks. Still needs to do a little bit of... Kolll still needs to do a little bit of dodging, but now he can start... Oh! Man, Kolll has this as long as he can micro against Scourge. Microing against Scourge is like the thing that Kolll does best in life. And he's
doing a very nice job.
And he just needs to continue it and not die to this pack, and he will have this game. Just calm down. And takes another hit.
Yeah,
it's okay
I think to be able to micro these down though. There aren't very many Scourge left at all. He's going into the natural as well, going to be able to take out the Scourge while they're stationary. Good little bit of micro, picking up one Scourge, picking up another Scourge. Will he be able to pick these up? Oh, the Mutalisk paused for a second. Some seriously bad Mutalisk hits. He still has maybe a Mutalisk advantage, but he's managed to do good damage to the economy of Kasio. His drone count is way superior to that of his opponent. And if he keeps starting him now here, he will eventually probably be able to seal this game out. But it's still touch and go stuff. He needs to be more careful with his anti-Scourge micro. Doing a good job for the most part. And down goes the last Mutalisk for Kasio. And it looks like this is indeed going to be it for Kolll. And Kasio the lag and the GG from Kolll.
Oh, snap.
That is going to be it. Kolll goes through. Kasio goes out. Not in the most dignified of fashions either. And I honestly have to say that is what I was hoping for out of that game. Yeah,
well said,
I'm a bit biased.
Certainly an entertaining one.
Alright guys, there are one or two things to say before we round out today's cast. I see there's still plenty of people watching the stream. If you like what you see today, then please keep an eye on us on altitudeisl.net. We cast weekly and we will be here appearing in the sidebar, so feel free to follow good old Hackleby's stream to watch this fantastic tournament with more great stuff coming up week in, week out.
As a continuation of stuff that's coming up, I will be casting Gambit Cup Finals, day number 2. One of the teams could be sealing it out and winning the $900. That will be Friday at 22 CET, I want to say. Or no, 23 CET. Pretty late for Europe. And we will be back same time next week, casting the final week of group stages, the last people to qualify. But if you want ISL action even before that, L-Master will be casting tomorrow. He has the group with Napoleon and with Karate, 2 very entertaining players to watch. So that should be a great cast. You can check him out. 19s? 21. I think it's 21 CET tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'd like to thank the sponsors, Altitude. You're seeing all the graphic stuff. They're the people that are doing the commercials. It's a free game to download. Go check it out. Supporting them really helps out. We want to help them out because they're helping us out having this great tournament. But also thank you to sales viewers, to Fairyland, Twitch TV, Corum Jahalen, Trap, Ruskig, Nobopolis, Prowler, and Noise, also contributing to this great tournament. And thank you to all the viewers. So, Elegant, thank you to you for casting for me. I'm going to play the commercial one more time, and then we are going to sign out.
Thank you very much, AnkleBeast. You will see me again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
All right, bye. All right, bye everybody.